Hi everyone, if you want to come and make your I Won't Stand For shirt, we have it open until the start of the meeting at 8 p.m. Come and join us for our SGA meeting.
Okay, bye. She's going to leave.
You're not allowed to.
Okay.
Meredith isn't in charge, I am. I'm completely going on with it.
I have a head this time. So do I. Whatever. Don't want you for it? It feels really dark up here. Why are those lights off? So you can see the screen better. Illuminates.
I keep wanting to add stuff to mine. There's a lot I want.
You can see the green light. I don't know. I like them. Really? It's my color.
I use my resources.
So. I like your cyberbullying.
This is for you, man.
Did you take it? Thank you. I haven't
Sugar Dixie cup. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. No one's ever got
I'm 20. I turned 40. Yeah, I turned 21 next month.
Was it for yeah, well, my parents are a little like, but I said that.
He knows I have to do it, and he knows my boyfriend is. He doesn't have crush on me, it would just friends. Friends are crazy, so.
I don't friend them talking about.
So there you go. And you know, I know. But you see, but you see my plan. So I'm just, I don't like my parents.
I'm a marvel.
It's still a bad sauce on there, but it's up to you how long it wants to
Thank God, the smiley country. Oh. Am I allowed to? 30 green. Alright, don't put it. Oh. What is it?
Look at me now.
No. You add it to your
You ready? I'm terrible. Have about half the Oh, well, Tim always might. You should be on there. You don't stare. I'll take this SGA. Knock it down with one row. We have some extra.
And they said, see how we can
People who are yes, we got the live stream. We got it. I took a state rights Oh, this is good. Oh, this is so fun. You have to Oh, you stand? Yeah. I Scary to do that.
No, not really.
No, not really. Oh, usually it's a
Oh, yeah.
So we start.
No, mine was
I can't think of any other words.
it's despicable.
I won't stand for despicable.
Despicableness.
I won't stand for no.
Ashley
I'll stand for you guys ladies go upstairs. You can win right now. Ashley, oh, shoot up. I would have thrown you up in the hallway floor. Oh, she went to a second. What?
Pretty good one.
Oh, but I wanted to. I need to stop.
Yeah, so it's
I won't stand for you. Ashley wasn't very well.
Just putting a piece of cardboard inside.
Why?
No. I don't particularly have to.
How do we want to handle
Could everyone please take a seat? Anime. Sports broadcasting. Land. All those in favor of starting tonight's meeting? Opposed? All right. Just as a reminder, there's no technology used by the representatives unless approved by the executive board, and we're going to move to roll call. Go.
Oh, when I say your name, say here. Or if you're not going to, please say here. Akko.
Here.
Uncle ALD.
Here.
AMS. Here. Anime.
Here.
Assist.
Here.
Chess. Just kidding. Just Ready? Light. Light. Hockey. The ink.
Here.
LPC. Here. Lit. LCO.
Here.
Cycling.
Yeah.
Skiing ride.
Here.
Strikers. Ultimate. Ultimate. Model UN.
Here.
Mesa. Here. Outing.
Here.
Rugby. Rugby. Sigma Zeta.
Here.
Sobel.
Here.
SPJ AWM.
Here.
Spectrum. Spectrum. Barrett. Track and field. Twilight.
Here.
WLR.
Here.
Sports broadcasting.
Present.
Sarah Murphy. Haley Goulet.
Hi.
Nick Chapin. Stephanie.
Here.
Drew. Courtney. Courtney. Nick. Jen. Kat.
Here. All right, next we're going to move on to the minutes. Cycling?
As a member of the rugby club, is it okay if I represent two clubs?
No.
Okay.
Anime? LCO? All those in favor of approving last meeting's minutes? Opposed? And now we're going to move on to student body comments. Mark?
Evening, everybody. I got a few things I want to talk about, so I'll try to keep it brief and concise. This Friday is something going on. I brought this up at the SCSA meeting earlier last week. But this Friday, the Act 148 committee, which is a state committee that's trying to find ways to increase appropriations for the non-state colleges, is having a very important meeting. They're submitting their final plan that they're going to use the rest of their time to work on and then send to the legislature. And we're hoping to get both students testifying in favor of this, as well as just students coming out and supporting it. Because I think we need to send a message to the state legislature that students do care about the appropriation that the non-state colleges receive, and that it needs to be increased. And the plan that's coming out of this committee is the best way that's going to do that. So if anybody is interested in coming this Friday, please come talk to me after the meeting. And second thing I want to talk about very briefly, I mentioned before the Yik Yak that most people are familiar with. I came and just aired a bit of caution and implored people to try to take it easy, encourage other people to try and take it easy. That didn't work out so well. I noted that monitored, it's deteriorated significantly, so I want to just reiterate that again. Please encourage your friends to speak about it, cool it down on the Yik Yak. It's getting a little rambunctious on that. And third and final thing is over this past semester, I've been circulating a little petition, a little initiative I came up with at the end of last semester to try and improve student involvement in SGA by eliminating certain requirements that I don't think are quite fair. And this has crossed the threshold. It's got about 130 ballot signatures on it. And thanks to the enrollment numbers, which Joe emailed out, enrollment is about 1,250 something students. So 10% of that is 125. It says 130. So that does meet the threshold needed for you guys to answer it. So I was wondering if this could be added to the discussion and action items. Can
you tell us a little more about the petition?
The petition, all right, if you want to just read it out loud?
Sure.
All right, I'll just read it out loud. We, the undersigned students of Linden State, call upon the SGA, I read it all nice and fancy, so. Call upon the SGA to amend the Constitution to make all government positions more accessible to students. We ask that all GPA-based requirements for elected and appointed offices under the SGA be changed to only require candidates to be on good academic standing, Linden State, as defined by the college. The current method disqualifies some students from holding office and does not truly create a government that is of, by, and for all students. We would like the SGA to follow the procedures as outlined in the Constitution for a constitutional amendment by petition, and to call for a special election to put this question to the ballot. We prefer this method instead of the annual constitutional committee. If changes will be enacted in a quicker and in a more democratic fashion. I know we're all tired of hearing about elections after last week, but once more, over the breach, maybe.
Would you like me to call people?
Yeah, you want to.
That's fine. Megan?
Motion added to tonight's agenda.
Dan?
Sorry.
Sports broadcasting? All those in favor of adding it to the agenda? Opposed? Abstained? All right, it'll be on the agenda.
Right. Thank you, guys.
Are there any other student body comments? Haley?
Can I just make a quick comment about the meeting minutes? I know we had already approved them, but, some of my constituents had asked that, presentations, when we have reports and presentations, that they be, summarized, like, general gist of what they're going to be about. Some of the students didn't want to waste their time with how they were, didn't really care about, but also when it just says that, I forget who's coming, John Davis is speaking, like, they don't really know what that means. So I asked me to ask you guys.
So that would be the agenda.
Sorry?
That would be on the agenda, right?
Or summarize what
So, yeah.
saying in the.
Or like a general gist of what they're coming to speak to us about.
Oh, in the agenda?
In the agenda.
Oh,
So I can tell my constituents if they would like to, and they can decide whether or not they'd like to come to the meeting.
Are there any other student body comments?
Hi everybody, my name is Andy Taylor, I'm a freshman. I am introducing my challenge to sign by 50 people for to be represented for the freshman class. So I'm really enjoying being up to this one. I just want to follow on campus and really know the SGA more. I really like the idea of it and it's really great to know. So thank you very much.
Someone can. Mark?
Motion to address our petition and that to the discussion matter.
Stephanie? Haley? All those in favor of adding her to the discussion action? Opposed? Abstained? Are there any other student body comments? All right, so we're gonna move on to part one of discussion action items. And just so everyone knows why we did this, because Jonathan Davis has prior commitments for hockey. We wanted to accommodate him, and I know everyone wanted him to be here, so. So we're gonna open up for discussion. Dan, would you like to start? He's right there.
Jonathan Davis.
What did I say? Tonight you're Jonathan Davis.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so let me recall last meeting, we have the resolution that I had drafted up with help from a couple other people. Between then and now, I had asked that all clubs talk to their club about the resolution that was at hand. Thank you, AMS, for bringing me a petition with all the signatures from your club. And I hope everyone else had a chance to talk to their constituents of their clubs. Other than that, I'm glad, and I thank you, JD, for coming out tonight and talking. I'm glad that the SGA gave you the opportunity to come out and talk and field any questions that anybody out there may have. Other than that, I think that I'd like to open the floor to Jonathan.
I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Well, if you don't mind, just for a second, because I did walk around and talk to a couple of people and got some questions. One of them was, do you feel you would make more fair decisions than the 40 clubs on this campus that have direct contact with the students on a daily basis? Yep. Do you feel you would make more fair decisions than the 40 clubs on this campus that have direct contact with the students on a daily basis? No. Okay.
And I have it's not a question of, fairness. I'm sure that all of the clubs and organizations and the elected representatives can make fantastic decisions about the use of the money. And that's why the allocation was only for 10% of the overall funds. So of course that leaves plenty of room and plenty of money to be spent on the various clubs and organizations and the special events that students come and propose in front of the body.
and this is how it was worded, but it says, why don't you trust the SGA to make decisions about spending their money? And that was kind of the way it was proposed to me, but I'm thinking the person that asked it was more concerned about the fact that they'd seen the SGA had spent a decent amount. We've spent 21,000 this year so far, of our 39,000 that we had without the application. So we're, you know,
It's not a question of trust. I trust the student government to spend money. But as I mentioned in last semester and already once this semester, in some unprepared comments, that it's been 4 or 5 years with a pretty sizable carryover. And just to remind everyone, the operational budgets of the college don't provide a great deal to spend on student activities. So Campus Activities Board, that Meredith and Janai, SGA funds that Meredith and Janai advise for are not their funds to spend alone. Those are funds that are controlled by students. And so, again, operationally, my budget receives about $3,000 a year to spend on student activities. And so to see those carryovers for 4 or 5 straight years, and I do believe with maybe 1 or 2 exceptions, it extends a lot further back than that. I would love to see more of that money spent in that fiscal year.
so do you think that us spending 21,000 this year so far is a step in the right direction then?
Fantastic, yeah. Yeah.
And does that call for, so it would this, and one of the other questions that was asked was, is this a one-time thing, kind of like a trial basis, or is this something that's going to go on for year after year after year? Or
Yeah, I agreed at the end of the last semester to continue to talk about this when invited to do so. I was, here to answer questions tonight, but certainly have promised the exec board that I would report out on what I spent the money on. And certainly by the end of this school year in May or late April, we could revisit the issue.
And the last question that I was asked is, what has the money been spent on so far?
Yeah, not much so far. Some Halloween programming, and some food to support a couple of programs, one being the Vermont Transportation Board. So just so far, that's about it. But I do anticipate spending money soon. I know I have a couple of meetings with some student groups who aren't necessarily represented here for some music events and other things. So,
And how much of that money has been directly impacting students?
I would say out of the approximately 600 that I've spent, I would say about 400 of that.
That's all I have. Open up the questions. Happy to answer any other questions.
LCO.
So how are students going to be graded on when this money is being spent and when it's being spent on? Because there seems to be some confusion the last time SGA talked about this as to whether any money has been spent and nobody really seems to know where the money has gone and how it's spent.
Each time I've commented on this here, I've reminded and looked to the executive board, and they have confirmed that anytime that I'm invited formally to come and speak about it, I'd be happy to talk about exactly what I spent the money on as often as you like.
But is there any way for SGA and the students in general to actually know what that money is being spent on?
Yes, Matt will be able to see and request a report on what I spent that money on, and he can report directly to you, or I can do that.
Stephanie?
I think I'd be able to work with the city board, but is there a way, like, when you guys go, can you like directly tell us, like, say, John just asked for this money, we gave it to him, so we're more well aware of like, where that money is being spent, maybe we have that opportunity to like speak up and say, well, we don't agree with that, in case it's being spent somewhere, like, where we not want it to be spent, if that makes sense.
I would say, so you're asking, so essentially that would be back to Dan, your resolution, which would be to, vote to not have you be able to make that decision. So I would have to say, obviously, that I would not be in favor of that. So that would be my answer to that.
Is there any way that there can be a little more clarity in what you're spending the money on? Because I think what we feel is that we're not seeing where it's going, and like it could be going to very just places, but we don't see that, and we want to tell the student where you're spending this money.
Okay.
And we don't see, like, I didn't know that you spent money for food for the Vermont Transportation Authority, and none of my constituents know that either.
Yeah.
So, I think what everybody is asking for is a little more clarity.
Sure. I mean, I think what might be helpful is simply a report out each week. Each time the SGA meets, you can see what I've spent that money on. That might be helpful if you
I mean, I'm looking to you, I don't want to make that decision for you, but you can certainly make arrangements to do that.
Well, and I just had the thought as you were saying that, Haley, to add, since Matt's our financial controller, for him to report during our other business section where we update all of you on important information. He can report out exactly what JP has spent the money on, and if anyone wants to know what that's about, like Vermont Transportation, if no one knows what it's about, then we can get some information from JD, so we have those answers for you as much as we can.
I'm not interested in hiding anything from this board, this group. I want you to know exactly what I'm spending on. As I said, some of you weren't here this last semester. I appreciate that freedom to spend something that I feel is worthy. Last year, for example, I didn't have the money, but I spent a significant portion of my small budget on security for Break Fest in the spring. I would like to support more events like that in the future. So this is one example.
Yeah.
$13,000 came out of our general fund. There are 40 clubs in this room, and there are 4 elected reps, 5 that do voting rights. There are 6 voting rights here, and we all have about 2% of the vote or so. Elected reps a little more. And I don't want to say this in a way that makes it sound crude, but what gives you the right as one person to control 10% of something that we have to go through an entire voting process, and you just decide, okay, I want to give this here and I want to give this here?
After working here for many, many years and seeing the carryover every year, when I'd like to see that money spent directly on the students who are here right now. That's what it is. I'm not saying that this group right here isn't going to do a very good job of spending that money this year, but that's the history of it. And at the end of the day, the president of the college controls every single budget on this campus, including the student activities fee revenue. I did ask for that permission, and many times for larger events that I'm going to support, I'm going to consult with the entire student life staff on that as well. I don't see this as just me, although I know that it's just a funny aside, it was labeled as JD's money in the first meeting. I see it more as student activities money. That doesn't necessarily get approved by this board every 2 weeks. Oh, great. Okay. Would it be okay for efficiency purposes to share that information from Matt through SGA, or is that okay, Matt? Okay.
Lisa?
Yeah, I just want to reiterate some things that you have a little more detail. You weren't here to hear those, and certainly Davis is not here to hear those as well. Looking at last year, when I was in SGA towards the end of these meetings and seeing the rapid market rollover that took place, I certainly understand Dean Davis's opinion and decision to make 10% cut and to use that for various student activities monies. Moving forward, instead of getting hung up on this, I think the decision, I think it was very financially responsible decision on his part, and also on the part of President Bernardino and the college in general. As Dan stated earlier, we spent $21,000 on this month so far this year, and we're not even at the end of semester 1. And I know I talked to my club extensively about this, but at our meeting last night, the general feeling is that a lot of, if that money were to be retrieved, it would still be gone before the end of the semester. Whereas if it remained in Dean Davis's hands, there's still something for students to go to on special events. So even though it acts, financially responsible in a way where if we're not spending all of the money, Dean Davis can use it to still spend it, but it also acts financially responsibly in a way that if we're spending too much, there's still something aside for people to go to. And I think it's a great plan, it's a great structure moving forward. I know Lisa has close ties with Jonathan Davis, and we work closely with him on our events. We
you have a direct response?
Yeah, well, first we could cut it, by the end of the semester, the money will be gone. I don't know, point of clarification, that if we spent 18,000, we don't have any funding requests tonight on the table. However, everyone that has come out so far this year has benefited the student body, maybe with the exception of the Halloween bus, but everything else has benefited the student body. And I think that, with the increase, I believe, and you were on SGA last year, and you noticed that last year there were a lot of funding requests that came in, were either put on last minute, or they weren't fully explained. I think the difference is this year we had clubs that came in and they had very detailed descriptions of what they were going to do with the money. And therefore, we were more inclined to accept those funding requests because of the fact that those people came in, they did their prior research, and they asked for the money in an appropriate way.
Yeah, I'm not criticizing our spending at all in that comment. More or less what I'm saying is that given the tightening financial circumstances that we're in, I think it's a good idea for everyone to have to go with that 10%. I'm happy with spending money to benefit the student body and on every club organization. I'm glad that clubs and organizations are coming with detailed proposals. That's what they should be doing. I'm happy with that's happening. However, where we have a limited budget this year, it might be good to have something set aside in a fund, and I think that's what this 10% budget achieves.
So are you concerned that if you go against this, that you won't receive any funding? Is that a concern, or?
Yeah, we typically hold a lot of these events in the spring. I think the large concern of my club is that, by the spring, nothing might be there.
I'd just like to point out that I put a $5,000 reserve for the next semester, so there will be $5,000 in there. Just wanted that. That's why I did it.
Right. WWL.
So I completely agree with Lisa, and I would like to make a motion. So first, I would like to motion to move the discussion, and then I would can I do that now or no?
Well, we're in a discussion, so.
Sorry.
You can motion to add it to discussion and action items.
I would also like to motion to have a 2-comment rule, because we have so many things to go over, and it's not necessary. Can I make that motion?
You can make the motion. I think the points that are being brought up though are.
I mean, I definitely think they're relevant, but I don't think that
I think the comments are really good though, so from my perspective, I think that we should continue on the discussion because no one's really repeated anything, so. Spectrum?
And with my constituents, they voiced a concern of, it may be 10% this year, however, what's to stop you from saying it would be 50%? As well as they were very concerned on how you went about it.
Well, I think Dan answered that question for me already, in that it seems enthusiastic about the expenditure so far this year, $21,000, I think he said. So, I think that, there's very little carryover, which means that, all these requests are being met and that everything is going well. I don't have a need to come back here. I have some money that I can spend freely on events and organizations that I'm excited about, what Student Life staff is excited about, and I think we're good. So.
Assist.
I also think that there are a lot of budget cuts that are either being made for next semester or the next year or whatever. And it's hard for organizations who aren't represented by a club or something like that, who don't need to really go through SGA but have that ability to go to Jonathan Davis and ask him for his help. And that's where I think the purpose of this is so that we have a pocket of money so that SGA isn't the only option for students who are struggling with funds, budgets, money, and anything like that. And I support you fully.
Joe.
There, the president of the college would like to speak. Ultimately, I get to. Ultimately, I guess this will come to my desk no matter what the end result may be. There are two pieces that I would like to say briefly. First, I believe that our administration has clearly shown to the students in this community that we support you. And so I think to question our integrity, quite frankly, is troubling to me. I feel the need to say that. I think it's very unfair to question the integrity of Jonathan or the administration. I think that we have worked very hard to support the students here. The second thing I think you need to know is we actually spend a lot more than the money that Jonathan is holding to support student clubs, student events, student organizations. And that money comes from the provost and my budget. I am happy to give you a list of the tens of thousands of dollars that my office and the provost's office has handed over to students, student organizations. Some of you have been the beneficiaries of that directly, because students have come knocking on our door to ask us for that support. And the reason they're coming to our door is, one, because they may not meet the timing for student government, or two, they may not fall within whatever the boundaries are for student government, or they may not be a recognized organization within student government. And so as a result of that, we find ourselves not wanting to turn students away and trying to support whatever students and whatever initiatives come our way. And so when Jonathan approached me with this idea, I fully supported it in an attempt to funnel students to one administrator, as opposed to having them run, because this is what was happening my first 2 years here. Folks were running from one administrative office to another to secure some type of funding support. So from my perspective, I think it's important that we have that flexibility. And if we can't have that flexibility, then as a body, you need to be flexible. I think that's important for us to consider. So, those are my thoughts. Thanks.
Haley?
I want to make it clear that I'm not questioning the integrity of any of the administration here on campus, but I think that SGA's kind of goal and moral has always been clarity with our money, what we're spending our money on. We let our constituents know what we're spending our money on. I think I have no issue with the $13,000. Personally, I just would like more clarity, and I kind of feel attacked. Thought that we were questioning the integrity of your administration. Because I'm honestly not. I just want to know where it's going.
Yeah.
First and foremost, as a journalist, I'll question anything. But I just want to ask one last question, and then I'm done. I'm graduating in a month. I didn't have to come up here and either make a fool of myself or try to be a hero. I did it because of the student body. My question is to you, Jonathan, if this, at the end of the year, you've spent 600 so far, 13 grand, or might you use it 27 you have, the 10 from each?
No, right now it's a total of 13, I believe. Is that right? I believe it's 13. Yeah, so it's,
Okay, so you spent
next semester there'll be an amount as well.
Okay. So the question is, does it roll over to you if you don't spend it all, or does it come back out?
That's an excellent question that I don't have the answer to right now. But I'd be happy to clarify that with Sheila Evans in the controller's office and work that out with Meredith and Matt and the rest of the executive.
I really appreciate following.
Sure, absolutely.
Elsia?
Whether or not students participate in President Joe's Integrity and the Administration's Committee. I think that we should recognize a lot of the administration and President Joe in particular for all of the links they've gone to be accessible to students through various initiatives. However, that doesn't mean that every student will spend President Joe's house for dinner. Yes. Or that everyone has come to SGA or has heard about these things or has had personal contact with the administration. So for them to question the administration's integrity isn't a personal attack on Kelly or on President Joe or on anyone. It's them having a rational question because you keep on seeing this in the news of different administrators who mishandle student funds. And so obviously that's going to be in their mind when they're thinking about that or they're thinking about creating a budget. It's a fair question for them, and Kelly's right, we need to be more clear and more concise, and that's what we should strive for so that students have answers to those questions and it doesn't just fester.
Chris?
President Joe, we'd love to see comparison as opposed to some of these organizations.
Spectrum?
The one thing that did come up in the meeting that I had with them was, we're not out to do this, we're not, I swear we're not.
I'm not taking any offense.
We're not trying to question the college's integrity or administration or anything. It's just the students, were very concerned and, they come to us as leaders. And honestly, I do agree with the time that we have in the meeting. It is expensive. And perhaps we can work on that at some point. Maybe it's a week. Why would they get us in there before less? We're not at the meeting, and we're not trying to question the college integrity. I want that very clear.
And thank you for that comment. I'm not taking any offense for standing up here. I certainly didn't want to come up to the podium. It's not my resolution to stand. I'm just here to answer questions, so that's why I hesitated to. And, we did answer a lot of questions last semester, and thanks for the invitation to come here tonight. I didn't bring prepared comments, so I'm just here to respond and react, and I hope I've answered questions to your satisfaction. I definitely appreciate the questions, and no offense taken at all. I understand what my job is.
Is there any other discussion or questions or any motion? All right, thank you, JD.
Sure.
So next, we're going to move on to reports and presentations. And do we have the representative from the library who's going to come and present for us tonight? We invited administration from the library to come and speak tonight about what they offer and to get some Q&A and suggestions about what students would like to see. They were a little tentative to say yes because a lot of them have small children and they have duties that they have. So we'll invite them to another meeting if that's something that interests all of you. So we'll move on to 9 to talk about RHA.
Good evening. So I'm here to talk about Residence Hall Association. It's a new student group that will be starting on campus. Our first meeting is being held next Wednesday at 8 p.m. in Hack 121. Residence Hall Association is on various campuses. It's the second largest organization on any campus that has it. It is the governing body and programming body for residence halls. So we're inviting everybody out to bring any concerns concerns, questions, programming ideas that you'd like to see happen in the residence halls, to our meeting. We will begin having full meetings every opposite Wednesday of SGA at 8 p.m. in the half 121. And that's pretty much it. Do you guys have any questions, concerns? Yes.
So, is this in addition to or in place of RA and RG? What they do?
No, this is to help, they're more like the liaison between the residents to the residential lifestyle.
Will there be any type of budget for the organization?
Currently, we do not have a budget, but we can discuss that in the future.
Are there any other questions for Janai? Any comments? Thank you, Janai. All right, next we have Kelly Bean.
Hey, everybody. I've just come to answer questions. I was told you were going to talk about the schedule and the budget for spring, but the first thing I want to talk about is my cat. Do you have a question about my cat?
Yes, I want to state that I unfortunately caught the cat in the illusion skunk fan the other night.
Oh, you did?
There is illusion.
Oh, I will speak to him. But, someone mentioned to me that Panther has spent a few nights in Rita Bowl. And I just need to ask you to please send him home, because I fret when he doesn't come home on time. Yeah?
I would just like to comment on your dad earlier, your cat is quite a hot subject. A lot of upvotes and a lot of comments.
Yeah, he's more interesting than I am. Anyway, please don't take him in, because when he doesn't come home, seriously, I freak out.
What is his name?
Panther. Although apparently he's also named Marshmallow.
A variety of names.
Oh, okay. Okay, can I sit down now? Yeah. You can ask your real questions now, if you like.
We more of a comment on my French Miss Pretty because we're usually stereotypes.
Oh, thank you. Okay, fair enough.
Can you, speak to the INT 1020 and 2040 issue that we've been having? I know there's no 2040 classes being offered at all next semester and no repeat 1020 classes. Can you speak a little bit?
Well, can you guys hear me without the microphone? In the spring, when the spring week, we offer only two sections of INT 1020 are the repeat. And then we mapped or canceled all the INT 2040s, except there will be one section that's open for seniors who need it to graduate in May. We are facing pretty serious budget situation. I don't have to go reverse that. I know you know that already. And we have to make very, very difficult decisions. One of the places to hold back classes that is the least painful, although I know it's anxiety is in the IAP. They are required, but they are not content disciplinary courses that are part of your major. So really what we end up with is difficult choices and then more difficult choices. There's no good way to trim back a schedule like this in the amount of time that you have in a budget year. So what we thought, and in consultation with faculty, was that this might be short distance between the 2 points. But the budget the schedule is just brand new, and as you all know, the schedule changes. So as needs come up and urgency may arise, we need to be in consultation with each other. We need to hear from students who are having issues. And I know Tommy is still in his office attending some of those things. But the INTs really need to be understood to be what we saw as the least painful way to get to where we needed to be with the cut.
Now, for students who are currently in the INT 1020 course and are not passing, what are your plans for that? Are you planning on continuing them next semester, or are they going, I mean, not next semester, the fall semester,
Well,
or
we
are
don't-
they? No, it's okay.
Well, we don't have to plan exactly for the fall yet, because we have that spring one month. But we have to offer what students need to keep progressing. And what this crisis has allowed us to do, but also kind of compelled us to do, is really examine how the courses are offered and in what sequence. And one of the things that is kind of the silver lining here is that as students get worried and come to our offices, what we find is what the real needs are, so that in our planning for fall, we can keep those, we can educate ourselves on what we really need to prioritize now, because until you really have this kind of pressure on these decisions, sometimes you don't see what the realities are, because we've just been kind of comfortable. So this uncomfortable moment, I think, is going to end up with our understanding our curriculum better and making better choices for everybody.
Going to that, if the students do fail the INT 1020 or the INT 2040, does that affect their GPA because they don't have the ability to take it again at this moment, or?
You can also offer it again.
Yeah, like if they say they're taking it this semester and they fail it, does that affect their GPA on their like program evaluation? Because I know there are majors offered here that have a GPA requirement, so that failing grade staying there could affect your ability to be in the major.
Well, if you failed this semester and you were going to repeat it for spring, you wouldn't have the GPA recovery until the end of spring anyway, right?
Right.
So, if you were looking for that recovery to stem from fall, those are things that we need to know about and we need to accommodate. This can't, I mean, it's going to be worrisome, but it can't harm student progress. So there will be some moments where we have to create exceptions. It's really important that if you bring this to us, and you feel free to bring this to us. We need to talk Anderson, the language of the very probably more than me. Anybody in our anybody who touches student services or student services, you need to make sure you're letting us know what you need. And we are trying to stay abreast, but you should feel free to let us know.
Have you made cuts anywhere else other than the major cuts in terms of sections?
What we're trying to do is make sure that we offer the most economical number of sections possible. So we are having roll open sections and let it fill, and once it's full and we need more, then perhaps we'll open another section. So that it's been that kind of like a lot of sections on that, so that we can get a good sense of what is needed. And we want all the sections to fill, and then if we need to open more, we will. But given the budget realities right now, we need to be very systematic about that.
So if our constituents find that they aren't getting into classes they need to, general education requirements, et cetera, should they come and speak to you about that, so then you could make the option to open up a new session? Or
What we need to do is get a good sense of the number of students and the sections that we need to go through. So the first thing you ought to do is always go to your guide, because your guide knows better than I what you've been doing and what your needs are. So what you want to do is explore all your options right now, given the offerings that are presently happening, that are presently open to today. So whatever options you have, you want to make sure that you have exhausted all of them. And if you really still feel stuck, that means come to us. And we'll, we just have to keep track of what and make this and things like that. Okay, I wish I could be more specific, but it really is a moving target.
Yeah, okay. Independent study, can you go into detail about, pretty sure the emails are something about no longer having independent study as an option for next semester?
Well, I think, I'm not sure what the phrasing was, but we are going to try to keep the limit the number of independent studies.
Okay, because, yeah, I mean, in EJ, it's like a huge thing. I know that if it weren't for independent study this semester, then I would have to be here till May to take the course.
No. What I also try to emphasize, and I'm sorry if I didn't enough in that memo, is graduating seniors are the priority. We absolutely do not intend to take away anyone's graduation. So what I want everyone to keep in mind is that we have got to be disciplined. what we offer. So if you don't absolutely have to offer an independent study at this moment, given where we are and where we're trying to get to, then if we can put it off, or we can give you the, get you the requirement at a different way, I would prefer to do that.
I remember back in like early October when President Joe held whatever it was, there was a presentation about offering these night classes and weekend on the flex. Does that have anything to do with you, or is that like a whole separate budget, whole separate program?
No,
Okay, so as we're cutting down courses during the day, we're opening them at night, is that?
no.
Okay.
What we're doing is offering fewer sections than we have in the past. We're bringing down the numbers that we're on. And what flex is designed to do is spread that same number across more of the week and more of the day.
I'm just wondering, considering the situation with the budget, have you considered talking to the business department at all about this? Because this is sort of their area.
Yeah, I have a meeting with them tomorrow or the next day. Yeah, they've been very helpful. And they're gonna bring us suggestions.
General faculty opinions or regards to future IIT and this what's happening for the spring semester. Because some of the senior people that I talked to, they've been consulted about these decisions and seem very kind of disgruntled about it.
Oh, I'm sorry, we didn't know that. I can say that this is a hard time for everyone. And our job as professors and administrators are to help you through what is a difficult time for all of us. And those of us trying to manage this for students, see things that students don't see. We bear the responsibility and the burden to make sure you get what you need. So I'm sorry if you feel anxious about things that we're working to provide for you. I can't speak for anyone except to say that when I meet with faculty, there's general disgruntlement about a lot of things. And then there's also general sort of open happiness about other things too, right? So it's like anything. But right now, you might be feeling more as students when you talk to your doctor than faculty, because it's not easy doing what we're doing and facing. So, I guess that's the best answer I can give you.
Just try to refer back to here. Specifically regarding my 2024, most professors wanting to keep it, professors who are fighting for it, or is it something that they're saying, yeah, maybe we can donate that, maybe we can do this offering?
So we're always talking about this, right? And academic affairs, you want to always be paying attention to your making sure that it's doing that you do. For students. And also let us hear, we have to manage your resources also, right? INT 1020 is the course that since I got here, it's only been here 2 months. That's been under discussion. A lot of people have a lot of opinions about it, including students, right? And that tends to be a class that people really, really like or don't. And that's the same with the faculty. So that's a class that you will hear people talk about a lot. Because I do think we, as a group, have talked about it more than other courses in the curriculum. INT 2040 has just become, for me, has really shown up on the radar because this semester, it was a course that I was explaining, we mapped to meet the budget needs that we had to because we were trying to protect the major. I really can't. Your hands up.
You mentioned that graduating seniors receive priority with scheduling. I know that this member of my college, I don't know how many students that are in this situation. He's just having here for 2 years in the associate's degree. So he wouldn't have the same amount of credits as a graduating senior would, so, but would he still be able to receive that kind of like priority so that he could be at here and his amount, the time he's planning on?
Right, if he's trying to graduate, you mean like in May? Or-
Yeah, so he was planning on being done this spring, but because some of the classes are being cut, he might have to come back next fall and only take 1 or 2 classes. But for this individual, he doesn't live in Boston, kind of like it'd be a big roadblock to get a degree by, need 1 class to get a degree, you have to come all the way here and they live here.
So maybe instead of saying graduating seniors, I should say graduation.
Yeah, I didn't know if like the same, because I know for registering classes, usually I'm ready to come off, but I don't know if you're applying the same rule.
But, and that's an exception that,
Yeah, like I said,
it's hard to think of, when you're planning, but that's, he's somebody who should absolutely come. Speak to his advisor and then come and see when you're on. Because, yeah, graduation is the thing.
Teachers are gonna be a little more lenient this semester about like adding yourself to class. Do you understand? Like,
Oh, excess students?
Yeah.
That is a certain title. I would be very.
Okay, so, from the standpoint of a peer leader, I think the INT 1020, they use all the time. The INT 1020 class is a very important resource for freshman students because it allows us as peer leaders to kind of see into how the students are in the classroom and honestly pick up issues that we wouldn't see passing in the hallway. That was my one comment on INT 1020, so it was just that it's still an important class.
That peer leaders are screening. And I think that is sort of the way we get you and maximize your relationship with them. That is not when you're ever about the mechanism might change, we've been having a conversation. But the peer leaders are
and then my second comment, kind of going away from the budget a little bit, was a lot of my students have, not my constituents have kind of discussed about how some of the offerings for the general education requirements are generally offered at very similar time blocks every single semester. And so, like, I know with my class schedule, like the 9:30 block is taken by a major course, and so that 9:30 block where most general education requirements are offered is not available. So I just wanted to express that. Yeah,
we're very there.
Okay.
I think that considering as we start to move less classes, even to the less program and just schedule. Right? I think what we'll start to do is kind of socialize the session across campus that we could use more today and more. And I think that would help a lot in terms of filling up a section and not being that extra section or excess students. And as we move through the day, is there anybody else?
My hand is up.
Okay.
I'm saying this, so I transferred here with the associate's degree, but the equivalent for my last school did not transfer. And I just feel like what I'm doing is, I said it's going to last a year and a half, if something that comes through, I'm doing here at the beginning of next semester, I'd be, taking them, having them touch the land, possibly even consider. I'm still going to take them. They're taking me for both ends, so.
I but I'm unclear about what's happened. What have we not provided that we?
It's seen his last days. I feel like me personally,
No, I appreciate what you're saying. It looks drastic not the same as removing it from the curriculum or moving it as a requirement or taking it out of for program evaluation value. It is a product of a moment, a budgetary moment we have ourselves in that we are trying to move.
Have curriculum decisions stem from budgetary circumstances?
Sometimes, mostly curricular decisions stem from the interest of faculty to stay current and offering students enjoyable or would like. Wait, did you remember?
It's not that I remember, it's that I got another question. For IMT 24, I'm just curious, what was the point of that one? Because in my personal experience, I already had that, I already took some of those, already read some of those books, I already wrote some of those kind of essays. I was just wondering, why do we have it here? It's, there's no peer leader involvement in like 10 something. I was just curious, what was your perspective on why we needed 24?
Those classes, according to critical thinking, and of course, is designed to create a habit of mind, which was required to be public, and that we will require that kind of college. Also, courses like that tend to be at the sophomore level, so you already had some introductory courses, you already had a writing course, and you had 10, 20, so you are already acting in senior college students. And now what we're going to do is make the sophomore course, by the way, I mean across the higher ed, critical thinking was one of the standard across higher ed institutes. The notion is that now you're ready to acquire this habit of mind, these critical thinking skills that will take you through college and allow you to acquire knowledge in your discipline.
Yeah,
That's the rationale behind that.
Yeah, I was just asking you, like, from my high school experience, we already had a bunch of those classes. I was just curious.
I don't know, I've never been asked a question quite in that way. So maybe there's.
I didn't know how to phrase the question.
No, I didn't congratulate your question, but it made me look at the question in the way. I thought you were talking about transferring knowledge that you acquired in the college.
Well, yeah, in high school, we already had some courses like that. I was just feeling like it was a repeat or a refresher of skills that we already had.
Did you share that with your instructor?
Yeah, I did.
That's good information.
I just have a response to that. I didn't really have any.
Yeah, I know, it's not every high school, but my high school, we had that.
Yeah.
So I was just curious. I know it's not across every high school that they have.
Well, first of all, sir, thank you for coming on, facilitating the question and answer session. When I was accepted here 4 years ago, I was under the notion, I know that there's been a change in the regime, change in leadership, but I was under the impression when I got accepted here that it was that you were going to be a name, and that's the whole thing that Linden State, had for me that I thought was, very likable about this college, and that's the reason I came here. And now I feel like since I've been here, I've seen professors deal with more and more course loads, overloads, as you say in the industry. And I don't know, I feel like there's been a change in morale due to that. And there's, people are teaching, your department has teaching 18 credits, and, associate professors teaching 15 credits. The people that are just teaching, like, it's just, how do we fix that? Is that something that's a short-term fix, or with this budgetary crisis, is it something that we're not going to see fixed for 5 to 10 years?
No, it's kind of piggybacking on the answer I gave at the beginning, which is that the numbers of sections that we offer has increased, and professors are forced to teach more sections. They might not be teaching more students, right? You might be teaching 21 hours, but each of those sections might not be full. So you might have all this prep and all this work, but in terms of the budget and how efficient that is, maybe over 21 hours, you still only teaching 40 students. So, it's like $40 going to the lot.
Using not some accidentally,
So what we are finding is that's part of the expense of delivering the curriculum that we cannot get under control. Because it's not fair to anyone. And it's especially not fair, as you say, to certain members or, people early in their career, being burdened with this many sections.
I just have one more response to Amy's question about my UT40 and for students who have already developed the skills. It can be kind of frustrating being in an INT 40 class. However much you love the class, I was wonderful INT 40 lesson. But there were also students in my class who really struggled. And we are, as a public college, it's part of our mission to accept as many people as we can and get them in and get everybody out there. So, I mean, that's something that I'm sure administrations here and trying to balance how to get students who are coming in a little bit less, yeah, a little bit less training and get them up to the level where they can be without engaging students who already have that training. But it's just, there's no good answer.
Do you have some, I'm sorry. So I had some thoughts while you were actually saying that, and because I took like a 1000 level philosophy course with David Johnston, and that was probably one of the best classes I took for critical thinking. So a suggestion for maybe that you think about, because you have to make those cuts and they're tough. Instead of having that critical thinking course in a separate course for it, maybe working with the philosophy department, who kind of really focus on critical thinking, or the English department too, looking for those other options. So you still are tapping into students' critical thinking skills and helping them develop, but also talking to students about whether or not that should be really something that they need too. So kind of going through the process like that.
I like the idea of, like what you said, it could be maybe 20, 40, if it were an optional course, and students in consultation with advisors to determine their needs. But as you're saying, like the critical thinking would be analytical, synthetic thinking, questioning received ideas, right, analyzing and comparing facts. That is something that you do pretty much across colleges, and especially in the humanities. So I wonder if you could talk about, you're right, as we talk about curriculum, could you talk about having the critical thinking part of it and being built by something in the humanities? Go ahead.
I was thinking like maybe we handle it like handle it math requirements. You know how we have the testing report, maybe that could help with each other.
And transcripts often tell a story too.
So I was just thinking maybe that could help you with it. I mean, I'm not saying it wasn't a useful course. I mean, it was really helpful in refreshing my skills in critical thinking. I just thought that it was a refresher course, not a needed course.
So, as this semester has forced us to think about curriculum in general, if we get to the point as a body that we want to do INT 2040, perhaps we should invite students to some of those meetings to discuss their experiences. That was another very discussion.
Something to add quickly to, I think it would be nice because like each 2040 class kind of has its own topic. I got thrown into a 2040 class that is nothing in my expertise or major, anything of importance to me. So it's a very difficult class for me. So I think on future semesters, like maybe you can put out like the course description, like what the teacher is planning as a topic. So that way, like, this student, oh, well, I like this teacher, but I don't know the topic. So that you have more of like a freedom to say what they might want. Just so you kind of special topics. Yeah, just like a little.
That's not what they did, I know, yeah, I know, in, like, talk about like,
Are we good? Yeah. Thank you. All right, next up we have Aaron. I have to go get my cat. I almost brought him with me. I saw him right before the meeting. Next time I will. Side chat, please.
Okay, so, lucky for you, every SGA meeting, I am going to come and present something that's going on, or something I have questions for you about, or to elicit some discussion about, that may be going on, or that we're looking for more information on. As you know, I talked about, the Safe Ride program a couple of weeks ago, and we've had a couple of people come to those meetings, not as many as certainly signed up on the sheet for that, but that may be something that we come back for, just to look for comments. You're all right here, so why not utilize that? So, but for tonight, specifically what I'm going to talk about, we did a smoking survey in the spring semester, and so we just got the results back from that earlier this week. So I want to go over some of those with you that I found to be just particularly interesting, and see if you have any questions or comments about that, and then to specifically talk about something that's come up in the Health and Safety Committee recently, which is related to e-cigarettes and the use of that on campus, and the adjustment for our policy for the future to include e-cigarettes. So, this just kind of gives you a breakdown of the respondents. So there are 312 respondents for the survey, which it was done right in the middle of finals week, so I think that's fantastic turnout for that. So you can see that students were the majority that responded to that, which is fantastic. So this was just one, just in general, do you think breathing smoke from other people's cigarettes is harmful? So you can see that the majority there was harmful or somewhat harmful, people felt. Does there need to be more done on our campus to reduce tobacco use? The majority of that significantly said that they agree with that. And in addition, with that question, there was also a very high number of, the vast majority, and a very small amount said that they didn't understand what the policy was, which is also fantastic too, that the majority of this campus, whether it be faculty, staff, or student, understand what the policy is and what our expectations are around smoking. So this question was about supporting a campus-wide smoke-free policy that would apply to students, faculty, staff, and visitors. So again, a large number said, and the majority said that they would agree to that type of policy on campus. And likewise, we asked, or this actually wasn't, this was the Department of Health that put this together. So this wasn't, when I say we, this was not the school that put this together. And this survey was actually done on, or requested to be done on all Vermont state or Vermont colleges in general, and other campuses, including like hospitals and things like that. So this question asked if a policy prohibiting smoking on all property, indoors and outdoors, would that influence your decision to continue to work or enroll here? And so you can see that a large majority of people said that it would not. And as a side note, the woman who went over these results with us said that in any place that they've done this type of survey, though there's always a certain number that says, yeah, it would be less likely for me to stay. Specifically at NBRH, which recently just banned smoking completely on their hospital campus, no one has stopped working there because of the result of that, that smoking ban. So that is just kind of a brief overview of what some of those results were, and interesting specifically to us and specifically to the Health and Safety Committee on the large majority, or the majority of the people filling out this survey saying that they'd be interested in a smoking policy that would ban tobacco on campus and ban smoking on campus. So again, just looking for thoughts, comments, responses to that, and thoughts specifically on a smoke or tobacco-free. So smoking-free would be obviously smoking cigarettes. Tobacco would include any tobacco, chewing tobacco, if and any other tobacco product that may exist as well. Yes, I can. Sorry.
So
assuming you make this theoretical ban on all smoke and or tobacco uses, I don't know if there'd be any way to actually enforce that. And, like, the worst thing you're gonna do is tell somebody to put out their cigarette. I don't think that's gonna stop them.
Okay. Yeah.
Or do you, like, well, I don't know, you said that you, like, consider any sort of, like, fine for persons like using tobacco, or so it would just be, hey, put that out, and the one or two companies that you don't have to do that control.
I mean, this is a discussion about, just kind of what was brought up here, what people's thoughts are about that in terms of what would we do. I don't know, it doesn't exist at this point. So we have a student code of conduct in place. So if it ended up being a violation of the student code of conduct, there's a variety of things under the student code of conduct that it could fall under for sure.
So I'm going to put my personal opinion into this statement, but I personally think that smoking and any sort of tobacco product is disgusting, especially when walking by students who are smoking in areas, especially living in Green Bowl. I have to walk right by Wheelock and right by that smoking area, and I have to breathe in that smoke. And as a person who has asthma, it's not really healthy for me at all. And so having a smoke-free campus would be 100% healthier for all of the students, those who smoke as well, because might need to push to make it quit, which would be fantastic because as we all know, smoking kills. So I think that's a step in the right direction for making us smoking tobacco.
Yeah.
I think it's great that the survey came out. I think it's quite clear what people, thinking. They filled out the survey, 3 or 12 people, quite a lot. I understand during final students, we had a different crowd than we did during the semester. But I think, we all know secondhand smoke is dangerous. I guess my thoughts on this is that, if you're dipping or whatever else you can do with tobacco, you're only harming yourself, but when it comes to like smoking and blowing out smoke, you're affecting other people around you. I'm in favor of having a smoke-free campus. I wish it was a smoke-free campus since I've been here. Tobacco-free though, people are, how are you going to enforce whether somebody has something dug deep in their jaw? I feel like that's more, it's obvious when you get a cigarette, you stink. Tobacco, and I guess the same for e-cigarettes. Has there been any studies out that have shown the dangers of it in secondhand?
Thank you, Dan. That's a nice segue.
You're welcome. Thanks for talking to me.
Yeah, I'm glad we made that. So one of the women that came and was talking about this survey has done a lot of research. There isn't a whole lot of research right now about e-cigarettes because it's so new. And so it's not monitored or regulated by the FDA, and so there's no Surgeon General warning about it. So if you go down to NK Vapor, there's no warning anywhere in there that says, this is harmful to you. Are there indications and studies being done that say, yes, it's harmful, or in some cases maybe even more harmful to you than smoking cigarettes? Absolutely. And the biggest concern about e-cigarettes is the misconception that people have about its danger and about its habit forming as well. So there's still nicotine in there, just the habit of mouth, just that physical habit is the habit forming piece to it. So what we are doing with, and Haley and staff and Jeremy, who's not here, they are student representatives on the Health and Safety Committee. And so recently we've been communicating via email about having this woman come and do a presentation for faculty, staff, and students, specifically about e-cigarettes. There is, I wouldn't say a huge number, but there's definitely a growing number of students on campus that I have seen that use it. And because of the fact that it's not a cigarette, are using it intercampus, using it in buildings, using it in some cases in a classroom or in a dining hall. And so that concerns us for a variety of different reasons. But so our plan is very soon to have this woman come and address the community on that and be able to answer those questions and specifically talk about what few studies have been done and what information exists about the dangers of e-cigarettes. Yep.
Now, would the smoke and or tobacco policy cover the
e-cigarettes?
Yeah, and regardless of whether there's a smoking ban on campus, we're gonna be discussing a new portion of the policy to cover e-cigarettes. So that will be, you know, a new piece that we'll be discussing for next year anyway.
So regarding, I don't know her name, but.
Haley.
Haley, first project, she made a very valid point as far as, you know, kind of asked about how to walk right past that point where the residents would go to smoke. I think maybe some more strategic spots per se for smoking. If, you know, not that I don't think this being a group, but you know, there are a portion of students who smoke every day. And they would appreciate being able to smoke, but maybe just relocating that point and a few other points. I know, you know, the one right next to Stonehenge parking lot is great, but maybe moving it, you know, a little downhill closer to the skate park, because I know last year when I parked my car, it doesn't bother me personally, but when I park my car, I try to get a cover parking spot, and no matter where you park in that road, Stonehenge, you're gonna get a whiff of it.
Yeah.
And also, really like,
Exactly, so, you know, maybe moving it not farther away, but to just more strategic points.
And thank you for bringing them. Both of those topics are agenda topics every single time we meet with the Health and Safety Committee. So it's something that we're continuing to talk about. And so to get this feedback from students is fantastic. So thank you for that. Yep.
Have you thought about, like, re-polling the students using questions about a smoke free campus, like in student centers, we have more of a student, like, more students involved in the voice there, like, are you doing that?
So looking at specific to Linden and talking about like what it would look like specifically on Linden and focusing.
Maybe getting more of a response from more students, like, if you just did a table in the student center, something like that, asking more students to get more of a student opinion than just ours or even.
Yeah, and I think too, though, why I really appreciated this survey was that faculty and staff are still a huge part of the population too in terms of it impacting them. And so, yes, it is a huge impact for students, but faculty and staff are equally as much a part of this community, and so it's important to have their feedback too, which is really great about this particular survey.
I just want to say that as long as smoking is legal for people who are 18, I don't think the smoke-free policy is really a good thing to do. I mean, I'm not trying to promote smoking here, but my dad smoked all my life. You know, breathing secondhand smoke all my life. It doesn't bother me, but like seeing how people struggle with that addiction, I feel like you'd be wrong. And because it's legal mostly, it'd be wrong to deny them the ability to come here via they have that crutch. And I'm sure most people who smoke want to work through that and realize they should quit, especially now. But maybe more programs to help people quit as opposed to just banning smoking. Especially with this enrollment crisis we have right now, like we can't just say there's no smoking. Because someone who's looking at a school sees that they're probably they do smoke, even if it's just a handful of people now, you're gonna see that effect.
Another fantastic transition. So, we also talked about, I don't know how many of you are familiar with Quit Partners. So Vermont Quit Partners, I'm sure you've seen the commercials, and actually the woman that's in that commercial is the woman that we meet with, Rose Sheehan, and the woman from the Department of Health that's working on this. And so we talked about coming up with the possibility of having on-campus student Quit Partners, so that students have another student that they can go to, but also having cessation classes so that faculty, staff, students have the ability to go through that classes and have that support, and then continuing that support with the Quit Partners that they can go to and work with to maintain that support when something may come up that, you know, might trigger them to want to smoke again. So those are all things in addition to the presentations that we're working on and hoping to put into place to support faculty, staff, and students on campus for that. Dan?
Okay, she's been waiting for him.
Oh, sorry.
I was just wondering, I know it's a very small population of the campus that comes here when they're 17 and underage, but I think that there is a portion of students who come in and they are smoking, but they're underage, so they're less likely to use things like Vermont, like to try to quit smoking, and some of them do. When I came to campus, I was 18, but I smoked when I came in as a freshman, and I knew plenty of people who were like, I want to quit, but I can't utilize any of this. So do you have any ideas of how to deal with that?
I hadn't really given that thought. I guess I wasn't, you know, aware that the Quit Partners in Vermont Quits wouldn't support people underage because it is an illegal behavior. But certainly that's something that I can ask Rose about in terms of what we can do, and maybe as a campus, we can support a smoking cessation regardless of, age and whether that's illegal behavior. I could definitely ask, that's a really good point. Yeah?
It's any program that can sell well advanced, but it's really about keeping the parts and lungs of our community clean, or just keeping it shaking versus cigarette butts. What's the real priority?
Well, I think all of the above. So health, safety, well-being, the community. So certainly, we're looking at the health and safety of one another and supporting one another. So to be able to put programming into place that allows for someone who may want to quit to have the ability to be able to do that. And as a community, we're supporting that and providing the opportunity for that. So I think all of the above, but certainly, the health and safety is at the forefront of what's most important.
What are we doing about students that are violating policy? There's one individual I see all around campus, only the cigarette, no matter what it is, like smoking, and honestly about it.
So, so this is another issue that we talk about and tackle, I guess, with health and safety, but our vision is that this is everyone's responsibility. It shouldn't have to fall strictly on residential life. It shouldn't have to fall strictly on public safety. It shouldn't be just their responsibility to make sure that these things are being addressed. It's everyone's responsibility here to hold one another accountable for anything, any violation. So we talk about bystander intervention, things like that. It's everyone's responsibility. If that bothers you, then you have a responsibility as a community member here to say something. And I know that that's not comfortable for everyone, and that's not going to happen. But yes, so RAs, hall directors, public safety are going to address those things. But it really is everyone's responsibility keeping that as well.
I have said something else like person, and
That's great.
it's honestly, it's been pretty much broken down in the manner of, well, you have this power on this campus, so screw you.
And I think that it takes, the student body to change that and to say, and for some people, like, as opposed to an RA or a hall director or public safety going up to them, like, you as a peer going up to them and saying something, may be more impactful than someone else. So I think that that's important to remember too as a community. Yeah.
I think we should pay a little closer attention to e-cigarettes in the near future to see what results come out. Because, I understand you say something about it being habit forming. Biting your nails is habit forming. We don't ban that on campus.
It has nicotine in it, so that's what, yeah.
Right, no, and I understand that. No, I'm not trying to compare apples to oranges. I'm just saying, like, if it's not giving somebody lung cancer, or if it's not, I don't know. I feel like there are other things on campus, bringing a 12-pack of beers, that's enough to, do the number.
Yep, and so that's why we're having her come in to talk to people about the research that has been done. The negative impacts affect many colleges in the area and across the nation as things like this come up. Many colleges are banning them on their campus. So it certainly isn't just Linden that's looking at this. It's a pretty common thing right now that a lot of schools are doing. But we are wanting to have someone come in and talk to us about those dangers and about what research has been done before we make that decision and decide what the final decision might be. Yeah.
So with the advent of e-cigarettes also comes another side, something that's very similar to e-cigarettes, which is THC cigarettes, or whatever you want to call that. I'm not sure what the proper term would be for that. I got words in my head for it, but I can't quite think what that would be. To use in front of a lot of people. So, perfect. What would you say to that and all the possibilities that go along?
Well, I think that that's another piece too, is that we know that, for liquid marijuana, where does it stop and where are all the different pieces that go along with that? So a couple of years ago, we banned having hookahs on campus because it was really hard for us to determine, yes, someone can say that they're smoking tobacco in there, but most of the time, there was marijuana being smoked in there, a combination of the two, or we just didn't know. So we made a decision to ban hookahs on campus. And so I think this is this is in a similar vein, that we're saying we're gonna ban, e-cigarettes because of all the dangers that exist with it anyway, but because there's also inherent things, other things that could be happening with that and being used in that, we don't allow on campus anyway. That answer your question?
Yeah, yes, that's my question.
Okay. Yes.
I was curious, for places that do have the ban, what do people smoke do? Like, do you have to drive 10 miles away from campus? Like, what's the?
So just to use, let's use NVRH for example, because they're the closest and as they're considered a campus as well. So their smoking is not allowed anywhere on their campus. So you have to go to the outside, to the exterior of the campus if you're going to smoke. So here, and again, I don't want to answer this with such specifics because it hasn't necessarily been put in place yet as to what our expectations would be. But in general, you need to go to the outside of that campus. So, for example, let's say here, our campus ended at the top of McGough Hill. That would be where our expectation would be that you would be off campus. Or that you had to leave. I don't know what the exact answer would be. With a very large campus that goes a pretty far way that people would have to go pretty far to get off of. So I don't have the answer to what exactly that would look like, but that's what NVRA says. You can't be anywhere on their land of campus. You have to go outside of that.
Thank you.
My definitely.
Alright, next we're gonna move to the second part of discussion and action items, and first is the disbandment of track and field because they've exceeded their number of absences. Dan?
Motion is good.
Haley? Second. Lit Society? All those in favor of moving to discussion? Opposed? Alright. Is anyone an active member in track and field? Okay. AMS. Sarah? Second. Sports broadcasting. All those in favor of disbanding track and field? Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes. Next, we're going to move on to a new club request, weightlifting club.
Hey everyone.
Hi, Galen.
Hi, I am here to propose a new club, the LSC Weightlifting Club. I'm Galen. I'm a sophomore in the exercise science department.
I'm Kyle. I'm also a sophomore in the exercise science department.
I'm Dave Shapiro. I'm a senior in the exercise science department.
I'm Brooke English, and I'm also a senior.
So the basic idea of our club would be to teach proper weightlifting techniques, which are also movements of daily living that we do every day, but also to train strength and performance in specific athletic weightlifting competitions. Not to say that any of our members would have to participate in competitions, they could just participate to gain strength or gain movements.
Yeah, so as Galen said before, the participants would learn proper technique and how to perform certain lifts. This would not only benefit their health, but it's fun. It's a stress relief, and it's good for them. Plus, it provides a sense of community. Competitions aren't required, but we are interested in starting
to compete in strongman competitions, weightlifting competitions in general. We want to get certain events onto campus. I know our advisor had suggested, or our hypothetical advisor had suggested a car push, so you guys can join that as well. Move on.
Yeah, so as of right now, we have one of our faculty members who's a new faculty this year, so it's Dr. James Pepperwood. He's new to the exercise science department. He recently graduated from Springfield College with his PhD in exercise physiology. In case you don't know, Springfield College is it's like the top college to graduate with an exercise science degree. And he's graciously offered to help to oversee our club, approve programs. He's fully qualified to do so. We're going to be working closely with him if we are allowed to become a club. He'd like to oversee us, he'd like to help plan our events, and he's just a great guy to have on our side and giving us insight into what we're doing.
So you're probably wondering who can be involved in this club. It's not going to be mutually exclusive to exercise science department. We want the whole community to come in and join us early in the morning down in the fitness facility. Like they said before, it's not a requirement to go to competitions or to go anywhere else with it. You can just go down, have fun, learn some techniques. It'll benefit you, it'll benefit us. It's just something that you can get involved with if you're really interested in it or not.
And that's pretty much our presentation. Anybody have any questions right now? I think it's clear. All right, Bond first.
How many members do you guys currently have in the program?
Let's see, what do we have, we have 7 members right now total?
And then there are people who are very interested.
And then we have a lot of people that are interested as well.
And do you also lead the executive board?
Yeah, I'm the president of the club.
I'm the vice president.
SGA rep.
Treasurer. We also have an SGA alternate who is currently on.
Exactly.
Haley?
What is those fundraising plans?
We don't have the
I got 2 questions.
Go ahead.
In Article 2, membership and dues, Section B, what were the dues for? And because it doesn't say like what the dues will be, and it doesn't say why there are any dues.
So the dues will basically be, we haven't decided what they would actually entail, but what they would go towards is purchasing any type of t-shirts, things to promote the club, possibly. Our eventual plan would be to, first we let's start out holding inter-school competitions, and we're just raising awareness for those, and hopefully move to competing within the community amongst other schools, other different teams. And all of our funds and our dues would go towards promoting that.
And my second question had to do with the eligibility for officers. It says officers must be full-time students in the exercise science department, and at least sophomore standing. I was wondering if you could explain that.
So yeah, we have originally stated that officers must be full-time students in the exercise science department solely because students in the exercise science department with sophomore standing have had experience in the field. As you know, exercise science is a field. There is safety requirements. There are parameters that we should know before we just start throwing hundreds of pounds over our heads. So it's more of a safety thing. We do have an advisor, and we are in the midst of getting people to oversee those safety things. So hopefully, maybe in the future, we can extend that. But currently, we have stated that we would prefer exercise science students. Yeah.
Does anyone have any other questions for them? Coffee. Stephanie? All those in favor of moving to discussion? Opposed? Okay, if anyone who is right now considered an active member, if you could please leave the room. Outing?
Motion to approve the waiver.
Haley? Whit? Dan?
I mean, if it's changing it, it's, they have stipulations that their model says we lift things up and put them
Is there any other discussion or motions? All those in favor of approving them as a club?
Can we tell them that? That's
Yes.
okay.
I will make sure you have time to tell them. Opposed? Abstain? All right, motion passes. You graciously thought of a motto for your club. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, the stipulation was your group club, your motto has to be we lift things up and put them down. No, it doesn't have to be.
All right, and Kyle, you can take a seat on the outer end of the table and sit in for your rest. All right, next up is another club request for a Catholic club.
Oh, yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Loriana Gaudette, and we are all here to represent and propose a new club called the Catholic Association Club here on campus. Basically, our purpose is to foster the Catholic faith through liturgy, prayer, service, and community, and we are not exclusive. We're open to any student who is interested in learning about our faith on this campus. We go to masses off campus. They are not held on campus at all. We are interested in doing Bible studies on campus, just hanging out and getting to know each other and talking about our faith and religion. So some fundraising ideas that we have are maybe holding bake sales on campus and at the church, and also putting together a pasta supper at the church that some of the members could pay for and therefore find our club for things such as retreats. Last year we had a retreat with the UVM Catholic Center who came and went to Burke and we joined them. So something that we can fund ourselves with like that. We have been meeting together as a group for a year unofficially. So we do know how to run this. We have been carpooling on some Sunday mornings and have had Catholic masses once a month. And these carpools have been from using the campus bands, and we've been funded by JD with the funds that have been taken or reallocated from the SGA, which has been interesting, but just thought I'd say that. And I guess that's it. Are there any questions? Yeah.
I just wanted to give an statement for those who are not very fully aware that Catholicism is the largest sect of Christianity. I believe it has somewhere between 1.8 and 1.9 billion worshipers worldwide. And I'm just curious about why you guys didn't go through religion Christian outreach, because LCO exists to foster all sects of Christianity equally. So I'm just curious why you didn't go through that first.
We really didn't know about it.
I also just wanted to add that Christian Outreach is a great club. The only thing is with Catholicism, we do things a little bit differently in terms of our masses. We receive the Eucharist weekly, whereas some of the Christian faiths receive the Eucharist once a month. So that's one difference. Sorry, I'm a little sick, but that's one difference. And just in terms of our faith, because like you said, it is one of the largest Christianity faith-based religions. So there are just a few minor differences that make Catholicism a little bit differently. So in terms of helping us go to Mass together weekly, we can do so that we can go to Mass weekly and receive the Eucharist together. We can go on retreats and receive the Eucharist because in Catholicism you can receive the Eucharist every day. So if you go on retreats, you can receive the Eucharist on those retreats, so on and so forth. So.
Catholicism is different. It really is. It really helps us groups of people that are exactly in your faith to go to Mass with every Sunday and hang out and talk about how you can really grow. And that's really what our goal is, because we just try to help like each other. Because that's what we do. We just try to grow. Yeah.
I just want to say, I wish there were more outlets like this around campus. There's obviously a diverse population of students here, and I think we should be open to accepting all students regardless of, sex, race, creed, religion in this case. We have, we're open-minded but closed-minded at the same time, I feel like. We're accepting, and this is the year of social justice, but at the same time, we look around and, our campus is predominantly one way, and it's sad. I think I'm sure you guys can provide a very excellent insight when you come to the meeting. I know Rachel does a great job representing her club, and I know you guys can do just the same. So, with that being said, I'd like the motion to move to discussion. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions for them? Poppy?
Who's your advisor?
Our advisor is Joanne Sharon. She is not faculty, but she is staff here at the college.
Anime?
Did you actually have meetings for your club, or did you guys meet before you go there?
Our plan is to have meetings after Mass, but we are also open to having meetings on campus or any other location. Haley?
Are there any other questions?
Yeah, how many members do you guys currently have as part of your
We have 13 signed members, but on Facebook I think we have like 18. I know it's very official, but.
Poppy? Are there any other questions? All right, all those in favor move to discussion. Opposed? Anyone who would be considered an active member of the club, if you could please leave the room. Side chatter, please. LCO.
And we're really excited about this.
Keyword anyway.
There, because there used to be such huge differences, there are like these completely different cultures that have developed now. So I think some of my club members, we get together, we bond, we squeal over veggie tales, and some of the Catholic club members, like they were rocking some Protestant praise music, but they have their own things that they want to get together and talk about and do. And I don't think that there should be any conflict or competition, Catholicism is probably common among all Christians and Muslims in the Northeast, and they deserve their own representation that's distinct from the club that Protestant, even if we aren't.
Audi?
Motion to approve Catholicism.
Dan?
I'd like to second.
Haley?
We just said very eloquently, and I'd like to call the motion.
Is there any other discussion? All those in favor of approving the club? Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes. Whoever is your designated SGA rep, if they could take a seat at the outer table.
Thank you.
All right, next up we have the outing club reallocation.
Hey guys, so the outing club had a little leftover money after our Wheeler weekend trip this year. For those of you who don't know what that is, we get a group of the club members together, freshmen, upperclassmen, and we spend a weekend up at Wheeler Mountain. There's some cabins up there. We do some rock climbing, swimming like wildebeest, stuff like that. We had some extra money left over that we didn't end up spending on food and a couple other things. So we are asking if we can reallocate. I'm honestly not sure if it was $110 or $120. $110, thank you. $110 from that trip that was left over to go towards spending money on T-shirts that we're looking to get pretty soon. We're just trying to lower the cost for club members so that we can keep reporting.
Well, you're not gonna use it for what it was, because you already went on a trip.
Right, yeah.
So they're gonna use it for teachers. Motion to discuss.
Does anyone have any questions? Okay. Haley? Second. AMS? All those in favor of moving to discussion? Opposed? All right. Anyone who is currently an active member and outing, if you could please leave the room. Dan!
Motion to move the $110 over to that T-shirt money, so we can all get cool T-shirts.
Place exciting.
Now I want a T-shirt.
Sarah? Call. Any other discussion or motion? All those in favor of the reallocation? Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes.
Look that
Okay, so I have a general question. Who would like a 5-minute break to take a breath, grab water, refreshments?
Check your phone.
Check your phone if you're dying. Okay, we're gonna take a 5-minute break. Do not be back there any later than 10 o'clock.
Allow executive board members to not just use one account. It sounded like it was part of the executive board. Don't go ahead. Yeah, I understand the reasoning. I was pointing out that we have like a contradiction between the two, and I thought, I was thinking it was talking about the executive board. I was going to mention that, but after well, I already talked about it.
All right, stop. Collaboration, listen, I said.
Sid, when I'm not.
Oh, with who? This is not going to get 7 people. Right? Okay, well, he's not part of the club. Open sodomy. I just want to look for people. That's a good idea. I haven't done the same.
We're not saying you can't represent your parents. How would you like to welcome you up? Because I just struck me out on we skip it? I didn't pass out. No, sorry. 5 minutes. While waiting for people to return, if you have a meeting, I want to stand for a shirt. Come on up. No.
Sorry, Andrew.
And if you start the meeting again before you can finish, you can take the marks back to your seat with you. Yes, Mark.
Motion to appoint Sergeant Marks and tell the attendance of active members of the
Everyone, please take a seat. All right, so next up we have a new representative request. So if you would like to come up, Megan.
Hello, everyone. So I know some of you are handful people. I'm a freshman here. I'm in the Oxford Science Department. And my name is Megan Farah. I'm working for a student representative in my class. Who talked to you about this?
Ooh, sorry. No, I think it's good.
All right. I really want to get involved in campus, and I really like this community. I want to get more involved in what goes on in SGA because I feel like there's a lot of important matters that we go over here, and it would be a privilege to work with you guys all. So, questions?
As her peer leader, I would recommend her for this presentation without hesitation.
Yeah, I must say the fact that your resilience tonight and sticking around through all the discussion that went on tonight, I think says enough to actually walk out that door. So I'm gonna voice my support and motion to move to discussion.
Does anyone have questions for her?
Yes.
So seeing that you have some form of dedication already, as it seems by what we've seen so far, I wanted to ask, what do you think you as an individual bring to the table to the SGA?
Oh my, that's a really big question.
I feel like I work with a whole lot of people, so I definitely would be cooperating if I had this particular situation. Gosh, what else? I'm a people person. I like working with people a lot, and I really good cooperating in groups. Any other questions? Yes, Ben.
I was gonna say, just RCC with, of course, it is that leadership to take classes to deal with. Forget about it.
Did I forget about that?
You're not.
All right, we're gonna try to stick to questions for now and then discussion for later, but thanks.
That's all I just wanted to know.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
I was just curious, what made you interested in joining the SGA, and what would,
I'm actually applying to be an RA for the spring semester. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get that position for the next semester. However, I would really like to be involved as soon as possible, especially to be an RA so I can have more information about what goes on around campus. Any other questions? Yes.
Reese's or Kit Kat? Reese's or Kit Kat?
We're gonna dismiss your question and move to Joe.
Whoa.
Side chat, please. Oh my gosh. Joe, what's your question?
Give me two responsibilities of an elected representative. And the SGA Constitution.
Side chatter, please.
I'm sorry, you're going Voice their opinions.
If you are,
I have a lot of opinions. I would feel much better at the table than on the side, because I can voice my opinion.
Also, just as a general reference, we will be going, we'll at least send you a copy of the Constitution so you can look through, and there is a representative section that will outline your duties so you know what you're supposed to do. That way you know that, and now everyone knows that. You'll know what you're doing. We won't leave you high and dry.
Thank you very much.
Are there any other questions?
Do you think, I know there are some matters that might be like, that you might be more opinions about, but do you think you have the ability to kind of like put your own opinions to the side and think for your constituents?
Absolutely. Any other questions?
Ali?
I like the second, yeah.
Nick?
Can I call this motion?
Yes. All those in favor moving to discussion? Opposed? See, she's already got this down. All right, this is my tactic. I'm gonna call on the person who's talked the least. AMS. Twilight.
Second.
Misa. Dan, do you have a discussion?
I was gonna say, like, I don't think we should be unnecessarily drilling her with the open positions that are on. They're down to 2 tables. If we don't accept them, they're going to be down to 1 by next meeting.
All right.
Okay.
Side chatter, please.
In my previous year, that question has always been asked to people that want to be on. Usually by either.
Like, we're not at a point where we have like a dispensable amount. Not able to
Well, also, I want to make a point too. I think it's good that people are asking these questions and asking why she really wants to do this and asking her if she can put aside her opinions. Because it's not necessarily the quantity of involvement, it's the quality of involvement of the student government. We don't want people just to sit here and fill seats. We want people who are here, who really care about what's going on this campus and can clearly voice student concerns. So I think it's great that these questions are being asked. And I think it's great that she's showing so much interest, so. Lan?
I just wanted to say that, having somebody come this late in the semester that wants to be a freshman representative, somebody who apparently has shown some kind of credibility to you guys, I don't know her, or sitting up with those who know her, seems to have a good energy about this person, and as somebody who's been walking in May, I always encourage people to come up front for their freshman year and really step up and be some kind of torch to be passed on. So I would say, with the calling of voting for this, I'm more than glad to take it.
All right. All those in favor of approving her as a representative?
No damn way.
Opposed?
In a good way, in a good way, calm down.
Go ahead and we'll clap. Next meeting, I'll have names. All right, next, we're gonna move on to Mark's petition for constitutional amendment.
All right, I'm back. I kind of kept it, short and sweet, and I read it out loud, so that's just about all I had planned to say. Did anybody have any more questions? No questions? No. Written with any inquiries? I don't. Yeah. Dan?
No, I have a motion to move to discussion on your petition. If that's, yeah, we do it.
Lamb,
Second that.
Spectrum, no. If you send a petition, it just shows us that we have a diverse group, like people who have signed it and who have talked about it. Maybe some people haven't all that much, so it would be great to have those people who have. I'll forget it. Are there any questions? Bueller, Haley?
Has it been called? I think it has.
Yes, she is called.
No.
Yes.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
I didn't hear it.
Joe, yeah.
Okay, all those in favor of moving to discussion? Opposed? All right, thank you. Haley?
Okay, so the problem I have with, and he has been fighting, I know he's been fighting for this for quite some time, he's wanted to be in your position, Haley, for quite some time now, but the issue I have with it is that if you can't, it's like, if part of me, wants to say, yes, let's lower the GPA for your position, let's make it open to somebody, but I know the work that you put into this position, and I know how much time and effort it takes, and how much time and effort that takes away from your classes. And I feel like Mark can do it, but I don't want anyone to do it. I don't want anyone to think that they can do it.
Just for a point of reference, the current requirement is 2.5 GPA.
Okay.
For an executive board member.
Why are we making me sound like that? That sounds like people, you're like being kind of people that 2.5 GPA. Yeah, you should.
Dan?
Well, to be the president of the United States, there's no GPA requirement.
Nope.
You have exception 35, and a United States citizen. And just to go ahead, direct file now.
I mean, look at our track record of elected presidents. Are you really gonna
No.
argue on that point?
Well, and we hear, the country.
No. Oh my gosh.
I want our country, not ours.
You're lucky I have a great sense of humor.
I do want to bring up the point that we did get 10% of our students' body signature, and I think that as responsible representatives, that we should allow the student body to at least have a discussion or potentially a vote on this. They could vote whether to change it or to keep it. If people feel that strongly about it, they can come out. Not everybody in the student body can come to Constitution Committee and have a voice. But if enough members of our student body feel a certain way about an issue, we should at least give them the right to discuss and or vote on it. That being said,
I'd like to motion to put this to a referendum.
Matt?
Just something that, like, I was in Constitution Committee when this was brought up last year. The decision that was proposed was overturned by 7-3 votes, 7 people against, 3 people for. Constitution Committee is put in place, so we are going over this Constitution. If you feel that there's something wrong with the Constitution, you should be going to that meeting. If you're not going to that meeting, then you're not representing the Constitution the way you think it should be. So that's really the big point I want to point out there. Me personally, I sat there as me, just me, not as an executive board, and I firmly feel that the 2.5 is a reasonable GPA. I know in some places the GPA requirement is much higher. There's 3.5 requirements in other colleges. There's 3.0 requirements. 2.5 is extremely reasonable in my opinion. That's just my thought overall, and I understand what Dan's saying, and I agree that the student body should have a voice, but I think that's what Constitution Committee is for. I can get anyone to sign a piece of paper.
And also going off of that, I think as an SGA, we haven't really made it that clear that all students are welcome to Constitution Committee. So all students can be a part of it, and I don't think as an SGA, we've really made that clear to students that they're also invited as well. You don't have to be a representative or on the executive board or part of the cabinet to go to that. So something I'm going to try to do is to communicate that to students that they can be a part of this process, because it goes to our referendum anyway. But to show students that we do care about what they have to say about it more clearly, I think is, okay, so LCO.
I was just gonna say, we don't need to read point, you know, maybe there are exceptional students who have, certain sort of yeah, maybe there are people who could do it and whose GPA doesn't reflect everything they bring to people, but I do question how much a certain exceptional case was in everyone's mind to sign a petition, as opposed to just like how that would really work in reality. How often do you see that versus people who just, yeah.
They have a direct response.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, like, how many people really are, kind of like a response to both the executive board and to LCO, but how many people that have less than a 2.5 ratio are running for these positions? Are we really seeing anybody? Have we seen anybody? I mean, and that was it though. I mean, everyone else, at least I know since I've been here, there's never been an issue with that. So I mean, maybe that is the extenuating circumstance, is the one that may be exceptional, that may be the one. So, I mean, are we, if we're deterring one person, maybe we're deterring 3 more because they don't know about it. Maybe we're deterring people that, you know, they make tests orally. They may go into class and literally shut off and not be very functional and get their, out, you know, but yet they can hold a position. I mean, they're things.
What's exciting?
So, like, with everyone being, not everyone, some people worry that just because they have a low GPA doesn't mean that they can't do this. That's all great, and there's worries that people who won't be able to like, live up to responsibilities will go for it. I don't think that's as much of a worry, because people who want to be in these positions can really go for it, and people who can't like take on that responsibility, they know about that, but they can't, and they probably won't have interest in that. So, that's your motion is all in.
Hasn't been touched.
Well, then I second it.
Spectrum. Outing?
I think that is something that we should talk about with other students on campus and with our clubs and constituents with like the rest. And I can motion to table to the next meeting so that more people can look at this and understand.
Haley?
restrictions that are put on your position, like you can't be a peer leader. I know that you gave up one of the peer leader positions to become the president. You have to have that 2.5 GPA. I'm restating, I don't know where I'm going with this.
I think the peer leader thing is not a stipulation in our constitution.
It's, yeah.
Well, I didn't get rehired as a peer leader because I ran for this position because Donna saw how much that I wanted to do for this position, and she thought me going for this position and having that role as a peer leader would be way too much to take on, and I completely agreed with her not that many weeks after I started this position because there was so much I wanted to do. And if you really want to do something with the position, it takes a lot of dedication, it's a lot of hard work. So that's specifically why she didn't hire me back, and I completely respected why she didn't. And that's partially why we do have this role, is because there's so much dedication, but we want people to be students first and focus on their academics first. And you might not have a great GPA and still be really focused on your academics, but what we discussed in Constitution Committee when a lot of us voted it down, and I'm going to say personally, I voted to not change it because a 2.5 is the typical average of a GPA, and we would like to see people strive to focus more on their academics and less on extracurricular activities. So they set a higher priority on why they're here specifically and why they're spending all this money to be here. And if that's really not what's best for the person, it might not be what's best for the person. So I'm just going to say something personal right now. I agree with Dan's idea to bring this to a referendum. And I also agree with outing that we really need to talk to people on this campus before the referendum gets sent out. So we have a full-blown campus conversation about this because I think students should be able to decide for themselves to some extent. But I also agree on the academic focus of really being here. Weightlifting. You were next.
I was just wondering if someone could refresh my memory as what it means to be on academic probation when you get placed on academic probation.
Under 30 credits is 1.75, over 30 credits is 2.0.
That was my only question. Thank you.
Lance.
Oh, sorry. So, I would say that on a professional level, at least when it's coming to this as somebody with like, well, I myself is coming from a personal background, kind of the situation where a GPA has held me back certain situations, which I will believe as an individual that with the people who have been in my club, that I do not like to use grade against them and then much to encourage them for doing something better. And for those who I find that who have more to them than their GPA, I like to see past that. And I would like to say as a club that I want to back up with the members of my club what Mark's trying to do. Because if you can see, this is something he's setting up not just for himself, he's setting something up for people coming from, after him. Mark's leaving pretty soon. He won't be here that very long. And he wants to set up something so people, maybe in the future, past us, could see this. They could definitely see. You can probably have somebody that might be like Mark, or people who have this kind of drive that want to be in this position, even if the GPA is under the 2.5. And I understand people have this whole thing, oh, how can you get under 2.5 and want to do something like this? It shouldn't matter. Sometimes GPA doesn't mean you're not smart, or you're not intelligent, or you shouldn't take up a position just because of GPA. And I would think that with something like this being set up, be set up in a referendum, have students really understand that we're not going to completely, push you out just because you were down by, 1 point off of your GPA, so you couldn't pursue something. I would say if it's not been called, the Band Party would like to back up and call the referendum that Dan's setting up, to give this a chance to see if the students themselves can vote and see if they can show that we can get past this, and that people like Mark, you can give them a chance later on. people as smart and intelligent and be as focused to be in such a group without having some kind of discrepancy kind of stuff.
Sports broadcaster.
I want to second the outing club because I would definitely prefer to go over this crime club and just talk more about it. So I'm going to second with that.
My response to that, this is something that Mark has been brought up more than just right now. Mark has brought this up last year, and I'm not sure if I'm doing for that, that's God, back to college, but Mark has been pushing this for a very long time, and he's done his petitions, he's talked about campus, he's talked to students. I've talked to my constituents about this before, numerous times, and I would expect that as the clubs that we are right now, that we have talked to our constituents about this, because this is something that's been going on for more than a year now. And I don't think cabling this, at this point, would be such necessary. I think the referendum is something we need to push for, in my response.
Janai?
I was wondering, for clarification, what is the requirement for all the other ESC schools, with their SGA? And then, do we all know that? If not, is there some research that can be done? So if you do a referendum or you table it, that knowledge is consistent and everybody knows, so that we're comparing ourselves to Williams High School or close, similar high schools that are in this area.
I personally don't know, but we can definitely check into that because it's fairly easy to access Mr. Company Constitution. Stephanie.
Two things I want to call outing club, and also kind of the response to land. That 2.5 GPA is set in place for almost every student leading RAs, peer leaders, you guys. That 2.5 is there because taking a job like that is a huge responsibility, and they don't want you to go on academic probation because with academic probation you can't graduate. So.
And I'll respond to that. So you're saying
Just a second.
Those who don't have the GPA that aren't intelligent about this?
Lynn, okay, I'm just gonna ask that you raise your hand because we do have a list of people. Matt actually has a direct response for Stephanie.
To actually play off of what Steph just said, as an RA, as there's 6 RAs in this room, we actually get on a probational period if our grades do slip under the requirement, and like it does impact our decisions. And that's for every student leader position on campus. I'm pretty sure peer leaders, do you have the same requirement of GPA, or you have to have a certain limit? No, you guys are chill? Okay.
Yeah. 2.5.
And constitutionally, you all have it somewhere in your constitution, most likely a GPA requirement. And to sit in this room right now, all of you at least have to have a 2.0. That's
which would be good academic standing.
Dan?
I think putting this out to a referendum right now is the ultimate talking to your constituents. If we motion tonight to put this out to a referendum, then I think everybody in this room will have a chance. Granted, we give 2 weeks, which I'm assuming we wouldn't do anything rash and do it like tomorrow. It would give everyone clear enough time to talk to anyone in their club or anyone outside their club or for the elected representatives of their constituents. Because I'm assuming, can I get to back about this, that if we were to, send this to a referendum, what would be the timetable? Is there a timetable? Would it be after break?
That's something we would discuss after.
Right. So if it got tabled to the next meeting, then we're looking at potentially next semester. And you're pushing it back over break and everyone leaves and they forget about it. So what I'm saying is if this were to go through tonight, you would have next week, then you have the break week, and then we come back, and then you vote on it. Now, I'm not trying to rush this and say, oh my gosh, let's do this, but for people who want to table it, is this something that you'd still be willing to push a referendum? You just want to talk about it and then push a referendum, or is it something where you just want to talk about it and see what everyone in your club says? Yeah, please.
It's 2 weeks, like putting back an extra 2 weeks, or it's 3 weeks of break or not.
Yeah. It's a week before 5, like 2 weeks before 5.
Okay. Is there a time rush to make this happen? Like, if we get it in before break, like, what's the benefit of having it before Christmas break, whether it be the week after Christmas break?
What do you get?
It ultimately won't affect anything until we have elections in March.
Right. And I think putting back an extra 2 weeks, letting us talk about it before, see if it's something we want to do, before we approve it, and then say, oh, wait, nobody really wants to do this, and then take it back.
Well, if nobody wants to do it, then they'll vote. And that's the thing, they can vote it down. I mean, this is just sending it to let the student body talk. Where that's literally all we're doing is letting the student body talk. Because they already had 10% of the student body sign a petition, came in here, and 10% is all they need to get voted to put on the ballot. So why can't 10% be something that we send out as a question to our student body?
I mean, I don't think it's going to matter so much time.
And just for clarification, because it seems like there's a little confusion. Dan's motion is to send out a referendum for the student body to vote. So potentially, if you go back and talk to your clubs about this now, the specific people in your club can go and vote for themselves. But you, like this conversation, allows you to bring back all this information to them. So then they can go and vote themselves. So if we
I'm sorry, but I don't think we should be able, we should stop the student body from having a say. I don't think that's our job is to, listen to what our constituents and what our clubs have to say. And when enough of those people sign a petition saying they want something changed, I think we need to change it, or we need to give them the opportunity to change it.
All right. Critic?
My question is, what other, student life require you to review the GPA?
I mean, they don't require you to reveal it, they know it.
So what Meredith does when she gets petitions for running for a position is she has the ability to look up a person's GPA. So Meredith is the only one looking at it. And then she'll email the candidate if they don't meet the requirement and say, hey, I'm really sorry, but you don't meet the GPA requirement for this position. So she's
And
the
it's up to
advisor.
the student to reveal that. So like last year, Mark was very open about it because he wanted to change it. So he flat out said, like, I know that was the requirement. Here's so why I think I should be a part of this organization. Here's what I think the GPA should change. So it's not like I send out a mass email to the student body and being like, Dom can't be at SGA because he has a 1.0 GPA. It's not like that. Like, we only check it based on who's giving it, who submits their petition to become a member or to run for a position.
WWLR.
What's a referendum? I have no idea.
A referendum is basically,
Like in voting, if
Yeah.
you have the voting groups and polls.
so the elections are a referendum. The entire student body has a chance to vote on it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I was just wondering, if we put this referendum, we're gonna put all the information that we just discussed on the 2.0 GPAs, the other colleges GPA.
We can make that information available at the tables to vote.
Can we meet their requirements that people are educated on their vote?
Yeah, we'll definitely be very open about what the change would be, what other colleges look like. And as far as this discussion, I would expect all of you to go out and discuss this with the people you represent. So we'll make sure that all the basic information to make an informed vote would be there. Weightlifting.
I just wanted to add, I know this is like 30 minutes ago, but Steph's comment, I think from what I've seen in the past 2.5 hours since I sat here, it takes a lot of work to sit for you, Steph. And someone with a 2.5 GPA, should be able to handle that. But I think anything lower, I think, you increase the chance, you first of all decrease their time that they can put towards their academics by having to sit here, but you also increase the chances of them getting on academic probation and then increasing the chances of them being on probation to coming back to this community in the first place anyway. And that was just, I just wanted to add on this that. Sorry, I know I was long.
Critic, is it a direct response?
Yes, we make a lot of sure.
I'm not trying to look at this, their assumptions. I just know that it takes a lot of time. I mean, for me anyway, to be a good student, it takes a lot of time for me, and it takes a lot of time to be there, it looks like. So, I know that for me, it would be a hard balance.
I think there's a lot of things to take into consideration, and I don't think that the Constitution is written to say that people with GPAs below 2.5 are not capable of doing it. Obviously, there's exceptions to every rule. I know one of the things that Mark brought up last year, for those of you who were not here, because I don't think it's fair to say that everybody here was in the room last year when we talked about it, so you should know.
But that people who have learning disabilities maybe just don't learn the same way or in classes where they're not functioning as well as they could, but are still really smart and really can bring a lot to the table. So I think there's a lot of things to consider, and you're all bringing up really great points. And I think at this point, I mean, deciding whether or not the student should vote now or in 2 weeks is completely up to all of you, obviously. But I think ultimately the question should really be go to them. So,
Right.
that's my 2 cents.
And at this point, I just want to make sure people are bringing up new points at this moment. I don't really want to go back to anything that's already been brought up. So I'm going to go through the list. If you have nothing new, please pass. But if you do have something new, we would like to hear it. LCO.
No one is making judgments about how they choose to spend their time. The fact is just that you have so much time and you have so many things on your plate. And if you add one more thing and you already, in whatever way, are challenged to maintain academic progress, then adding another thing on and putting yourself in the spotlight for the entire community is not really going to be helpful to you. And that's one of the reasons why GPA requirements in place. Not because you think people are stupid.
Haley?
Fine. Okay. There is not a single person on this earth that is going to look at your GPA after you get out of this building. No one. Not a single person. It's not an employer. Maybe if you go to graduate school, fine. But an employer is not going to look at your GPA and how you did in college. It is a number. It honestly has no bearing on whether or not you're a good student and whether or not you're it's flabbergasting me because I work so very hard in my major, and it's so very hard to do like what I do, and I have learning disabilities at the beginning. And the fact that you're it's beyond me, the fact that you're saying somebody who has a 2.5 is not capable of doing this position, but somebody that has a 2.7, being me, yes, I have a 2.7 GPA, everyone, is able to do this position. Thank you. And I would also like to call the question of previous motion.
Right, so we are moving to a vote. Does everyone feel comfortable doing this as a hand raise? Yeah. Okay, just double checking. So the first motion that was called was Dan's motion to send this to a referendum. All those in favor of sending this to a referendum? The timeline can be figured out if this goes fast, so keep your hands up, please. All right, people on the inside. Yeah.
Inside, you put it down. Outside, you keep your hands up.
All those opposed? Keep your hands high. Abstain? If you have not put your hand up yet, please put your hand up now. Alright, you can put your hands down in just a second. Talk amongst yourselves for a minute. Run out, find Kelly's cat, bring it back home.
I accidentally brought that cat to Tower's Park. It doesn't know. I accidentally brought that cat to Tower's Park.
Why would you take it there?
Dudley Bell told me to bring it to Tower's Park. Dudley. Dudley Bell, the old man. Yeah, Dudley was like, I brought it down to Tower's Park. Smart cat. I didn't need to. I didn't know it was Kelly. He thought it was just driving. One of the cat was really pissed off because of my car.
look at it, and then I get projections. And I think that if somebody hard ever wants to gain those skills through extra practice, they're not great.
All right. Hi, everyone. Hi. So there's motion to send this to a referendum did pass. So what I want to ask of all of you is to go back to your constituents and really talk to them about this issue. Tell them that it's something that they have a voice on and make that very clear. And I want to invite Mark back into the room before we discuss the timeline of this. When do we want to expect to put this out? And stuff like that. So
I
we'll
also like to let everybody know that my GPA doesn't leave this room because of like 20 miles an hour in secrets. So, you know.
please.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
You're right, I love that.
So Mark, the decision on this was to send it to a to send the change to a referendum because there was a lot of concern for students individually to contribute to this decision. So we're going to discuss what the timeline when we would like to send this out, and we wanted you in the room for that part of the discussion as well. So from today, when does everyone think, based on your knowledge of the student population, when do you think is a good timeline to put this out? When is a good point in a week? Right after break, a week after break.
The Monday after break, begin the election.
Voting.
Voting. No, it's voting.
Stephanie?
I don't mind, can we put this out in March when we do all the other voting for the Constitution?
Putting it that close, and if for some reason we did get like a tied decision where we had an equal number of people saying yes and an equal number of people saying no, it'd make it really, really difficult to be able to put it out again and say, hey, we didn't come to a decision, this was very 50-50, we want to get more students involved. So it would put a higher time constraint. Doing it earlier, sooner than later, allows for much more flexibility when problems come up.
And just to add to it, if we waited until that time to do it, the people running for that election would not be eligible if the referendum passed. So that'd be pretty none on the year.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be fresh in everyone's mind. We're all talking about it tonight. I think that the week before finals, so I think it'd be like December 9th. So that would give the 1 week after we get back, and it's still 1 week before finals. So it's like there's it's not like it's finals week. It's not like it's right after we get back from break. You know, there's an SGA meeting that Wednesday, so we can have the voting Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and we can discuss the results that night at the meeting.
No,
The meeting's this one.
It's the third?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess not. But you can get sent out fast, but it's a nice thought.
How many people like the idea of having the voting starting the week of the SGA meeting so we can bring what we have so far, and then we can talk about if we would like to extend this voting to try to include more students? Put your hand up if you like that idea.
It'll be the week after break.
It would be the week after break. And yes, it would be a little difficult to get people, but we don't have to end this vote at a specific time. Well, we're not going to make it go on for the entire like next year, but I'm saying if we don't get a lot of people in that 3-day period, we can talk about what we've gotten so far, and we can talk about stretching it out and getting more students out and involved.
I think we should talk about the vote total until it's final. I think if we set ourselves up in the theater lobby and the Hornets Nest Student Center, there's gonna be enough people to walk by there, whether it be an SGA week or non-SGA week. I mean, do we vote? Do we vote? Is that week can be okay? The one right after break? Maybe the week after.
What do people think is more effective, the week after break or the week in the middle, so to say?
I think the week right after break gives them brains under pressure because people are brains are long to this whole violence. Honestly, the sooner the better.
And we can talk to Meredith, obviously, about sending out a STUAL regarding this information. There is going to be a referendum talking about the requirements of participating in SGA. And some students are gonna disregard that, but it's gonna be able to reach more students. And I expect that when we do get back from break, that all of you are gonna be trying to remind students about this change and how important it is. So I think this is gonna really challenge our jobs as representatives. Because initially, it's my job to pretty much go out and tell every single student about this. Because I am, in a sense, the student body, so. And I'm really hoping for all of your help in order to do that.
We got you, baby.
So, who thinks, if you agree, put your hand up. The week we get back from break. The week in between we get back from break and finals. You can put your hand up more than once. We don't, okay. So a lot more people like the week we get back from break. So that's something the executive board will go over. We'll find that information about the different colleges and what their GPA requirements are. If you think there's any other important information that students should be considering that should be at the voting table to keep them informed, just email that to us so we can make sure that we have it. All right. Next, we have clubbing committee updates. So we'll start with Haley. Hi, Haley.
Hi. How's it going? How's everybody doing? Everyone go home, okay, I'm gonna keep going because you know I laid it all out on the table.
All right, Nick.
No new updates.
Nick.
I have no new updates. Clubs, when you guys are going through the approval process for posters, or for fundraisers, please send me your posters so I can make sure that it has the SGA logo and everything is correct, so you can post them up around school.
CAB has a few events coming up in the next couple weeks. Tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the theater, we have Students Fight Back coming to speak, so if anyone wants to learn how to go defend themselves, highly recommend that you go to this event. It should be fun. Friday at 9 in the Bowl Gym, we have roller skating going on. We have a full-on roller skating floor coming in, going from about 9 till midnight, I believe, so check that out. It should be a lot of fun as well. Sunday at 6 in here, we will be featuring the movie Sex Tape. Tuesday from 11 to 2 in the Student Center, we have photo keychains going on. So if you need a holiday gift for someone, come check those out. And then also that evening at 9, we're featuring Lucy in the theater. And then Thursday, the 20th at 9 o'clock in the Student Center, we have dueling pianos coming in. So that should be fun. And then on our schedule, it does say that Minutes to Win It is supposed to be on the 21st. However, we are postponing that. We'll let you know once that comes back up again. Our general meetings are still Tuesdays in ASAC 214 at 7 o'clock. And if you want to check out any more upcoming events, please go to lindycat.com. Danielle.
There's a lot of currently practicing for the recital on Saturday and preparing for the happening after break. And then we'll also be basketball games. And we're also selling cookie dough in the lobby for the rest of the week. We sell $30 and cookie dough is $15.
Well, LSU Wait Club has just been celebrating SGA, so thank you for having us. And we will be sending out an email as to when we will be meeting for those who are interested.
So far, this has completed 400 hours of community service this semester. Also, tomorrow we have a lookout for 3 balloons for World Kindness Day, and we're also going to be handing out notes for World Kindness Day tomorrow, like happy notes. We have a group going to St. John's River to volunteer at the community lunch. So if anyone wants to volunteer for that, please contact Julie and Corcoran, or John Ross, or anyone else in interest. And then the Linden Holiday Shop opens this weekend, and we will start volunteering this Saturday down here in town. And don't forget our general member meetings are
they can tell show, but they can. And also, if you like notice a problem with the radio, streaming, anything, you should come, because we're gonna be talking about all of that. It's all figured out.
Anime is going to Baccarat this weekend. Much magazine, or Lawyer Society has gotten their second quotation up, so if anyone wants one, you can pick one up with me. If you want to submit for the next one, the deadline is December 2nd. Just email it to the email on the current issue. It's Lawyer Society, State Review. Our next meeting is on Tuesday at 7 p.m. in Act 343. And I think that's all I got.
So Twilight Players for the weekend, we had our fall production, and then there were none. It was very successful. We took in something like $1,200 in fundraising from that show. Everybody said I was very killer. But this Saturday, we've got the Twilight Dance Ensemble is doing the 3rd annual dance recital. I see Sarah's getting ready for their little dance. So we're going to be doing that little one chair, that's one of the numbers. But that's going to be on this Saturday, 7:30 in the theater. Please come out because they put a lot of work into it. And it's a fantastic show. For last year, it's great. And then December 6th at 7:30, the Twilight Players Holiday Spectacular will be happening. I think we're doing auditions. Is that one of the auditions? They already happened. Series is already happened, guys. So,
What if you're interested in contacting me, is directing that she wrote the online story.
So, get the contact very, very impressive. And we're also teaming Assist to grow the toy donations. That's price admission through toy donations. Donated to needy families. And then beginning next semester, we're going to hold auditions for spring musical Air, and this is going to actors, actresses, and musicians. We're going to live band for this. It's going to be wild, crazy, fantastic. Kyle will tell you all the number of tech better than I can, but it aims to be a very great performance. So please, actors, actresses, musicians. Next semester, we want the talents. So,
All right, so we'd like to extend our grateful acceptance of the 2 new clubs we now have here at LSC, and for our new committee member on the board. Other than that, we have no other new updates for that club.
No new updates.
The Iron Club still meets Monday nights at 9 o'clock in half, and we are looking to start possibly doing some yoga on Sunday nights in the rock wall, so stay tuned for that. I'll probably have breaks.
East is still meeting Tuesday night at 7 o'clock, and it's at and we had one of our campaign fundraisers today, or anyone campaign fundraiser. It's $3 all you can eat pancakes. We made just over $100 today. Day 2 is tomorrow, so $3 all you can eat pancakes tomorrow morning. That's it. We're there from 9 to 2 tomorrow.
All right, sports broadcast journalism club, that we're doing great. We switched our meeting times. We have on Wednesdays now, at 7 o'clock. And we're really excited for this next meeting. On the agenda, we have some requests for equipment, and a lot of faculty who are really excited and actually going to join the plan to join us. So we're looking forward to that. We're looking for games, checking out our Twitter, podcasting, and things we're talking good. So we're really excited.
Snowmobile Club, all this week in the theater lobby. We're doing a pink flamingo fundraiser that we did last year. It was pretty successful. $90 for free, I want to say. So we would like to make that mark. So, come on
biggest result was we feet it back, there was 2 feet right up until the camera, and the left feet first to the student and then to the left.
For modeling, you want to take that photos in our committees for, February, for the conference, and we're also planning that. How weeks on Sunday, is that
You should sing it next time.
This Sunday, LCO, and meeting with the Vermont Summit for students who are part of the Varsity Association. And we're very excited. Catholic Club is doing SGA, and along the lines of what Dan said about kind of wanting to see more clubs like that and a little bit more kind of spiritual diversity, I guess, opening some campus. If you guys have any ideas for programs or like talk to us about, maybe,
There's still desperate content, so, the source of these are kind of still in my wallet, please shove it. Yeah, Thursday. As I said, we have pizza and pizza, so.
And Spectrum has a hangout on Saturday at 7 to 2:16, and a lot of times we'll be basically basic shield, whether some people not to. And we have a meeting Wednesday at 7 o'clock, 2:16, and we now have another registration. It's cute. Yes.
No. Meredith? All right, so 2 quick announcements. Thank you for those of you who participated in our I Won't Stand For campaign today. We had about 170 people participate, so there's still shirts up here if you didn't get a chance to make one, please do. It was suggested that the day is picked that everybody wears them on the same day, because not everybody is wearing them right away when they got them. So I will look into that and see if there's a day that fits into our calendar. The second thing is, last week you all got a Stu-all email about our leadership conference coming up in February. This is an awesome opportunity for you all to attend the conference. It's free for students, and this year we have people already talking to us from schools across Vermont. Last year we had a couple outside of the VSC come, and there's already more this year that have gotten in touch with me for people. So it's a really great networking opportunity. If you want to present too, we strongly encourage that, and I and myself are very happy to meet with anyone who's interested in doing so. And the theme this year is Leading for Change, so it's kind of off the social justice, year of social justice, but it's also not specific to social justice. So a couple people brought up sustainability, those types of leadership initiatives as well. We're having special tracks this year. We're partnering with Spectrum Alliance to do a Spectrum track. So issues related to LGBTQI issues that come across people want to present about. But we have a website, Linden Leadership Conference, so please go there. We'll probably get more emails before it actually comes, but it's in February. And we would love to see you all there. That's all I got.
All right, those of you, the entire executive board pretty much has stuff, we'll let you know. So for those of you who haven't seen either on my Facebook or the SGA Facebook, I was contacted about doing a textbook exchange program, which has actually been expressed a lot to me in my time here about something that we should get on campus. So basically, this website, you can find the link to it on the SGA page. You go and you sign up with your LSE email so they know that you're a student at the college. And you can list any textbooks that you want to get rid of, or any books that you want to get rid of. And then students can go on and look at those listings, and you can buy from other students. The company gets no money whatsoever from this. And if there's something that you're looking for that's not listed, the company basically references you to Amazon or other book selling websites that will have it. So that's how they make their money. They don't get any money from students whatsoever. And as far as the buying and selling, I don't have a lot of information on that. I've been trying to figure it out from student to student, but I'm sure there's stuff on their website that you can search after you go to it. So just keep an open mind about that, spread the word about it, it's something new. We're gonna have postcards that we give out to students so they can kind of explore it a little bit. Haley?
How does the bookstore feel about this? Because I feel like their bookstore is very protected right there. And like, who sells the books?
There was actually a part of the presentation that the person who contacted me said about this, and it's basically a way for students to get together to talk about selling and buying books, because I could just approach you and say, hey Haley, I took oceanography and you wanted to take this for an easy class because it relates to meteorology, so want to buy my book from me? It's no different than students posting advertisements in the hallway.
So technically, the company's not a vendor, they're not on campus, so they don't, like, that would be the two biggest things that would violate our policy, contract.
I mean, I'm okay with it, like.
No, yeah, like Haley said, if they're on a Craigslist or something.
Yeah.
Very possessive. Who sells student books?
But that's something new and exciting that we're implementing. And also, an update for the live streaming, we're doing it from my laptop this week again. We're doing it from a laptop, but I'm working with someone who's in a film class who has access to really high quality cameras who will hopefully be eventually in the meetings, so we can have the camera on the speaker and then have the camera on the people that are listening. So we're reaching more students with these, and specifically students that we don't know, and it's kind of harder to get in contact with those students, so we can reach out more. And that's all I have tonight.
After some discussion with the executive board, we've decided to buy 2 cash boxes that clubs will be able to check out from us. So when you're doing fundraisers, everything's really secure. Also, Saturday at 5 p.m. in the RBC Lounge, the RBC staff is doing an all-hall program. It's called Winning. It's a casino night. There's like 12 prizes that you could possibly win, over $100 worth of value. So you guys should come if you're around Saturday.
This will probably be the last time I'll bug you guys or beg you guys. Community committee finally got our Facebook page up, so if you want to have a say in what is going to be there for Spring Day, please join it. It's called LSC Spring Day Committee 2013. The second thing is we are looking for logos, so inform all those art majors, non-art majors, people do with Photoshop or MS Paint. I don't care. We need a Spring Day. There are some rules to it though. We would like to have limit date somewhere on there, at least have the year, as well as some other stuff. If you come to me and ask me about it, I can give you a list of all the rules that we need for it. Yeah, we really need logos, and those are due by February 1st, so I'd like to get them handed in as soon as possible. So, yeah, and don't get joined. Okay, all right.
Spectrum. All right, Lynn.
Second that.
Drew?
Paul.
All those in favor of ending tonight's meeting? Opposed? Abstaining? Oh, that's the most hands I've seen opposed. Makes my heart melt.
I hope,
Andrew, the executive board needs you before you leave, please.
Yeah, I'm
You don't want it. You don't want it. You don't want it.
So you gotta send that comment.
What?
Send that comment.
I'm submitting one on October 2nd. I wrote down I will write it on my list of things to talk about in an hour after I leave.
Because
You're gonna sing again? I wrote it.
Oh, so that's not right.
Our last names are like next to each other in the alphabet, so. Everybody say it.
Ryan and Robichaud. Yeah, but you said it. They can't do it. Dylan, he's been Dylan, Ryan,
People need to stop giving their children feelings. I told my children one time, but the rest actually did the other one. Just send me an email. And so basically the number of the board is so like.
no such thing as saying blasphemy. Blasphemy. Power of Christ.
So it's just like
So just put me in and we're all taken and you are.
Well, Saint Nicholas. Saint.
All right, back.
I do know the whole. You know the whole thing. It's Santa Claus is the spirit of Saint.
They were discussing.
You should come out.
No, actually, I like it.
Get out.
Called upon by you.
Mark, I was.
Yeah, no, I agree.
You should like your petition.
Don't forget to verify the signature.
I looked through in your office. I'm on it.
Okay.
But would you like us to keep a
Yeah,
copy?
like, keep it up.
Okay, we will put it in our records.
Yeah, so you guys talk after.
Yeah, but at least we have it for.
Because I'd like to.
I don't know, I gotta talk to them, see what they want to do, I don't know if they're gonna.
Whether or not the last meeting is at 7 or 8.
They've been really nice.
I also continuation, go to the road and go to make the plan.
I don't think so. That's not my jacket, is it? That's not my jacket, is it?
That's hilarious. Is it yours? Yeah, one of those shirts. It's absolutely, it's absolutely true. Oh, Nate's usually was the 90s.
I know, right?
60, 70.